Okay, hello and good evening everyone, and welcome back to the catchy titled The Life and Suffering of Sir Brante in the Times of the Fall of the Blessed Arcadian Empire. Yes, we're back again for some more suffering. Hello Pedro, welcome, and Hola. You early birds, good to see you. This music is growing on me, I must admit. Okay, so, before we dive in, for anybody that's here early, I've been reading some comments on Discord and some messages that people have sent me about this game, and it sounds like this game is actually pretty grim. Lots of suffering, tough decisions, and I'm probably not going to make it to the end, is what I've gathered from what I'm hearing. But we'll see. Maybe I'll surprise you. Who knows? Maybe I'll surprise myself. But I'm kind of thinking to myself, if we don't get to the end and end up, I don't know, if the game ends prematurely because we lose all our lives or whatever happens, would I start again? And the answer to that is probably not. I mean, in games in the past where it's possible to fail, and we have failed, I've ended the series on the failure. So I kind of feel the same way about this, in that it's a role play, we're playing it as we see fit, and if we end up in a premature death kind of situation, then that's the end of the series, folks. It's kind of frustrating for me because I want to see the ending, but I can watch the series elsewhere or something, but we'll see. If it's a very premature end, then maybe we'll start again. But who knows? My kind of thinking is, once we're dead, we're dead. Which is kind of strange because this book is based in a journal style, and at the start of the game we were at the end of our lives, so it's a little bit weird, but anyway, we'll see how it works. We'll see how it works out. Right, anyway, we ended our childhood, which means that we can start afresh today, nicely at our adolescent stage. And one of the first things I might do okay, so we're age 7. Okay, we did that. We were a commoner. We went through the whole sacrament thing, and we didn't, as much as it was painful not to, because I wanted to really do it, as much as we didn't catch the whip mid-flight like some ninja. We just took our beating and took our lot, accepted our lot as a commoner, and we move on. Funnily enough, as I said I was going to do, I actually found another playthrough that I was watching, and they picked the bottom option, I think, which was to kiss the sword, completely go rogue and kiss the sword, and yeah, it caused a rumpus, as you can imagine, but our grandfather actually appreciated the fact that we went rogue. So I kind of think our grandfather is quite pro, us being, determined, kind of, so in showing sort of some headstrong characteristics. You need a few preconditions to kiss the sword. You do, but I think it was open to us, wasn't it? I seem to recall the option was open, or maybe I got that wrong. Maybe it wasn't, but I'm sure it was. Hello, Cham. Good evening. How's my day been? It's been slow. Went to work. Work has been pretty slow, and I was looking forward to playing some football this evening. I had two games of football, so I thought, yes, extra exercise. I'm trying to, get down to my desired weight by the 1st of March as my first step towards being a nice, healthy, slim, trim weight for my birthday, fit and 40 and all that. And then just as I was about to leave work to come home, football's cancelled, both matches. I'm like, what? What? And it's pancake day, so I was relying on exercising and playing football to burn enough calories to make room for my pancakes. So that worked out well, didn't it? But anyway, I've had my pancakes already. I had them at 5 o'clock because I'm so eager. I couldn't wait until this evening, until after dinner, so I had them at 5. My dinner won't be until 9 because I'm still full because the pancakes were rather filling. So all in all, it has been not a bad day, but would have liked to have played football. But the benefits of not playing football is, of course, I'm here instead. I could have rested. I could have done something else, but no. So Brante was calling me. Yeah, but you don't have Pancake Day in America, do you? Every day's Pancake Day in America. You all love your pancakes over there, don't you? Me being me stereotyping here. KFC trilogy meal. You do like a good KFC, Chem, don't you? I've noticed. I haven't had a KFC for quite some time, and now you're making my mouth water, because I do like a good KFC myself. I was more of a fully loaded boxed tower meal kind of guy. Fillet tower burger, chicken leg piece. Got to be a leg piece, and I originally used to have beans because you get a side with it, don't you? And then I switched it to gravy to dip my chips in, because you get chips with it as well. So yeah, a burger, a chips, and a chicken piece with some gravy and a drink. Used to be like £5. Maybe it was £6.49 or £5.49. I can't remember. It might have been £6.49. Quite a bargain, that. It's quite a filling meal. I dare say it's not anymore. Anyway, before we dive into the game proper, I'm going to have a bit of a whinge here about Virgin. About bloody. I'm sure it's the same across all internet providers, but who remembers? I went through a big hoo-ha with them, didn't I? Went through a big hoo-ha, left them after many, many, many years. I've had Virgin since I was 13. You all know how old I'm coming up to be in May, right? So that's a lot of years. Do the maths. It's over 20, 27. Because I found broadband cheaper because we've got fibre to the premises here now, and so all of the other companies such as BT, Sky, etc. have 1 gigabyte download and 100 meg upload, soon to be a gigabyte upload too, but it's kind of mirrored speeds. Whereas Virgin's only have 50 megabytes upload, but a gig download. So I told them I found cheaper. I found £42 instead of 64. So I'm going. If you can't match it, they'll be like, I can give you £4 off. I said, well, that's not going to cut it, is it? So bye. And then I got a phone call after arranging to have the broadband from whoever it was. I think it was Shell. Installed. The retentions team rung me back, and yeah. We could do it for 36. I said, 30 bloody 6? That's almost 30 quid off. I was told you could only do £4. Where's £30 come from? And, oh, well, So I said, fine, I'll come back to you then. And then I got a message today, and Cham, you're right, yes, it's probably true, but it's still painful. We all get price increases for our broadband and our Sky and our phones, in line with the retail price index and inflation. That's the kick in the teeth bit, the inflation bit, which is a whopping 13.6% right now. So, I bet the companies were rubbing their little mitts together when they saw that. Oh, 13%, let's slap them with it. Oh, boof, right in your face. Got a message from Virgin, having just gone through that whole saga and got my broadband down to £36 to say, because of the unprecedented situation at the moment with cost of living crisis, and I thought, oh, and we're going to get some more money off. Oh, out of the goodness of your hearts, you big billion-pound company, you. Because of the running costs, in order to continue to bring you the excellent service, I thought, oh no, here we go. We're going to have to put the price up by £7 a month. Oh, excuse me? £7? In one price increase? Yeah, that's daylight robbery, man. Absolute daylight robbery. And then the cheeky swines had the cheek to say, because it's quite an unprecedented price rise, if you do wish to cancel with us, you can do so. As if to say, up yours, pal. I thought, my God. And then I got a message from, because I got a Virgin mobile phone as well. Got the text from the Virgin Mobile team the same day that I got the email from this damn broadband team to say, in line with the retail price increase and the 13.6%, we're putting your mobile phone bill up as well. Thankfully, because my mobile phone was an £8 a month, because I just have a little cheap little contract, it's only going up by £1.36. But still, it's like a 16% price rise. And then the final kick in the teeth is a council tax going up by 5% as well, which is the maximum they can put it up. So naturally, they're going to go to put it up to the maximum, because why wouldn't you? Why not? Flipping, but I'm so bloody, so very grim at the moment. No wonder people need flipping food banks. Look, it's getting me stressed. It's supposed to be a game, not real. Anyway. Oh, dearie me. But I can bet you bottom dollar, this is the final bit of the rant, that when the prices come down of the gas and the electric and the fuel, which is already coming down, by the way, when it all comes down and inflation decreases to it's more reasonable, I don't know, 5-6% or whatever it might be in the very distant future, who's betting to put the prices down? Yeah? No? I didn't think so. I didn't think so. Shell, with your with your unprecedented profits, by the way, billions of pounds of profit, so they put their prices down, if anything, their fuel, no. We'll just rake in our billions of pounds worth of profits and pay our shareholders, some of which are MPs probably, hence why they're not doing much about it. Anyway, let's not get political. Anyway, so yes, so seeing as I'm suffering in real life, I might as well continue to suffer in the game. So let's go and suffer. Let's suffer in silence. Or not so silence. This is all the stuff that we've done and remember from the previous session. Excellent. Good thing our savings accounts are getting paid 8%. Yeah, that unprecedented. Yeah, exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's better than it was over here. It used to be like 0.something% interest rates. So interest rates are now in a decent interest rate account. You can probably get about 5%. I think I locked in at about 4.8. Locked in some of my savings at 4.8%, which is the best I was going to get, really, without tying my money up for too long. The longer you tie it up, the more you get in interest rates, but you know there's a risk in doing that, isn't there? If you need it for a rainy day, for example. But anyway, the first little tip that I was given is that hidden oh, they're turned on. I turned that off. It's now come on. Hidden consequences. Why is that on? I haven't played this game since I last played it in the session, and I turned this off. You saw me do it, right? Have I been playing with it on all along? Or has it just reset itself? Because I was going to turn it on anyway, because apparently turning it on might prove to be useful. Because apparently this game is already brutal enough even with it on, and sometimes, which does happen in games actually, it used to happen quite a lot in Pillars of Eternity, where you're not quite sure what the outcome is that you're picking because it's not very clear. So the hidden consequences might help with making some decisions a bit clearer as to which side you're picking, what you're doing exactly. Oh, I'm reading. It's one of those double negatives. Hidden consequences. Oh, it needs to be off. Aha! It needs to be off. Ah, yes. It's almost like it's almost like one of those double negative situations. Right. Yes. Bloody hell. Right, so hidden consequences off, so visible consequences on. Perhaps the option should say visible consequences. You know, leave it on as default, take it off if you want it. I hate the whole kind of wording of it there. But anyway, I think we're good. I think we've got the right option here. Yes, visible consequences. Excellent. Right, well, without further ado, we have got 2 determination because, although we're not spineless, we've not got a death wish, basically, you know. Most of this is because we didn't stand up to our grandfather the second time round, or we haven't kissed a sword or caught the whip, which would have probably give us determination too. But, you know, maybe as we get older, we'll get a bit more determined, we'll see. But we're quite perceptive, we're quite inquisitive, we've got a decent amount of willpower, and we've died once. And seeing as we've died once and experienced it once, we kind of don't want to experience it again, really, if we can help it. Although somebody did say that you might have to sometimes sacrifice one of your deaths to achieve something favourable, maybe. We'll see. Would we not? It's an interesting concept, actually. If in the real world you ended up with 4 deaths, you can die 4 times or 3 times, but the 4th death is proper death, like real death. You know, it's like, oh, I've got 4 lives. Ah, what would we do differently if we had 4 lives? What would you do differently if you had 4 lives? Would you take more risks? I'm going to jump off this building. I've always wanted to do it. Why not? Just wasting a life. I always wanted to feel the air whizzing past my face as I'm free falling to the ground. Yes. I don't know. Would I do anything different if I knew I definitely had 4 lives? It's not as if we set out to do things that are going to kill us on purpose, do we really? But I mean, you might take a few more risks. Anyway, it's an interesting thought. Let's dive in. We get a little cutscene, I think.
I was growing up fast. The school, the streets, and the whole wide world awaited me beyond the gate of my parents' house.
Adolescence. So as an adolescent, you know, a bit wiser, a bit more educated, maybe a bit more rebellious. You're kind of rebellious teen stage. Incoming death number 2 here. Right, so we've got some new things unlocked. So from the first child stage, oh, we can't click on these just yet, but we've seemed to have got a couple more things unlocked. This, I think, is not new. Maybe these 2. We'll see. How do we get out of here? Let's have a look at some of the new stuff, please. Can't click it. Right, okay. Chapter 2. You've lived in this world for 8 years now. As you grow older, life grows more complex. The world of your childhood was limited to your house and family, but now that realm is expanding. It also includes your neighbourhood, the nearby houses, the streets of the ancient city of Anisot. The question now looms over you, growing more pressing with each passing year. What will your place be in this vast outside world? Alabi, welcome, and Cham, what do I think of the new leads manager? I know nothing about him. Other than apparently he did a good job of keeping Watford up when they were in a relegation battle, then got them to the FA Cup final of that year, and then got them to a mid-table finish the year after, and then got unceremoniously sacked, a lot of the Watford fans say prematurely, because Andy wasn't backed either the year after. So he sounds like a good candidate for the sticky position that we find ourselves in right now. But other than that, I don't really know a great deal about him, to be honest. Anyway, Championship football is incoming, I do think. Few people in the blessed Archnean Empire trouble themselves with this question. It's not within a man or woman's power to choose. Their destiny is predetermined by their birth and those who bore them. And yet your peculiar birth has granted you a choice. Your father is a man of nobility, a worthy example in the matters of duty and honour. Your mother is a commoner of lowly estate, humility and patience made flesh. And your sky is ablaze, day and night, with the light of the shining pillar, the beacon of the clergy. Your back bears the mark of the lash. Will you accept the drudgery and suffering that is the lot of the lowborn for your entire life? Or will you follow in the footsteps of your father and your father's father, and fight for the right to serve the empire as a noble of the mantle? Or perhaps you will follow the twin gods' word and offer spiritual guidance to others. The answer lies out there in that vast, terrifying world. What awaits you beyond the walls of your home? I'm sure we're about to find out. Right, so, events that can happen. Now, apparently, if we mouse over these, it gives you the preconditions to actually unlocking these events, which clearly we don't want to see. But these are some of the events that might happen if we get certain things happening. Let's see if we can click these things now. So, destiny, this is basically the timeline, that's fine. Personality, we saw that. So we're currently age 8, still a lowborn at the moment. We're currently, occupation, growing up. Quite the occupation. It's a very tedious process. We're unprincipled. So this is nobility. How noble your thoughts and deeds are in pursuit of the nobleman. So how noble we are. Ingenuity. How quick-witted you are. I reckon that these are the things that we're going to unlock in this session, in this chapter. So ingenuity. So these are new. Yes, so nobility, noble thoughts, affects your chance of becoming noble of the mantle, and future skills that are crucial for the noble estate. So the more noble we are, the better chance we have of becoming a noble. Ingenuity, how quick-witted and skillfully you can manipulate a situation to your own end. It affects your ability to survive without the privileges of nobility, and future skills that are crucial for a commoner. So this is like the kind of counter. This is a commoner kind of stat. Noble stat, commoner kind of stat. Spirituality. This is our clergy kind of stat. So basically, it looks like we're kind of shaping what kind of lot we're going to mould ourselves into here. And then, of course, willpower is used for staff. Right, relations. So the family, we've still got the same family. Our grandfather is indifferent to us. Our father is sympathetic to us, so it's kind of positive there. Our mother is our favourite, clearly. We were a mummy's boy. Stephen is a prick. Sorry for the language. Nathan, our little younger brother, is a bit scatty-brained, a bit odd, a bit secretive, a bit aloof, but we like him, and we certainly like our sister Gloria too. And she remembers what we did for her when we took the rap for the sugar sweetie incident. And Stephen has got a new. He looks even more pompous and arrogant than ever. Look at him. Don't you just want to slap his face? Of course you do. Right, map of the empire. Oh, look at this. We get a little. That's quite a big map. Oh. I mean, we could literally highlight everything and read everything here. We're not going to. We'll maybe read things when we come across places, but the place that we've heard of most is, of course, Eterna. That's where our grandfather went, and obviously Anizot. So we'll have a look at those two first. So Eterna is the capital, built upon the shores of 3 rivers. And we'll read about Arcania, which is the empire as well. By the Emperor's own order, Eterna houses the Imperial College and the Military Academy, which provide opportunities for commoners to become nobles of the mantle through service and valour, as well as divine seminar. So this is where we might be studying. Eterna is the place where Icanian tradition, architecture and fashion have always reigned supreme, but the influx of human nobles and wealthy merchants is slowly changing the way of life in the capital. So this is Eterna. This is Anizot, which is a city of our birth, and is the capital of the arid province of Magra, the largest and most ancient city in the south of the empire. It's home to the Silver Tree, which we've heard about, grown by the twins when they descended to the mortal realm, and Anizot, the prophecies say, is where the end of the world will begin. So this is Magra. It's a southern realm, Magra, the last to join the empire. The southern province of Magra is an arid wasteland ruled by Archduke Milanidas. During Tsar Milanidas's rebellion, this land was devastated by foul magic and rendered infertile. Local peasants now grow their crops in soil imported from other regions. The hills and mountains of Magra are blessed with silver, iron and coal. So it's basically an arid landscape due to foul magic. What a lovely place to grow up. How fantastic. Okay, and this is the Arcania, the birthplace of the empire and every Arcanian dynasty, and owned by the emperor himself. That's the name of the province. The province with the most bountiful soil compared to us in the south. Arcania abounds in ancient castles, green fields and towering forests. Sounds lovely. Sprawling cities and factories are virtually non-existent. No Arcanian dynasty would ever let such massive human-built structures disfigure the domain of their ancestors. The only place in the province teeming with life and the spirit of the new age is Eterna, the capital of the empire. So the untouched north here. So the very northern provinces of Fiona, Constanta and Hermia are also very inhospitable. Barbarian heathens once populated here until the great Arcanian warriors came to eradicate them. They're governed now by the emperor's own Tempest dynasty. Sparsely populated with few factories and trading posts. Fishing is the main trade. Okay. Illyria is another area. Strongest industrial province of the empire, ruled by Ogrif dynasty. Okay, they lease their land out to commoners to build new factories. So this is where all the industry is. Clearly not here. Dirty industry. So here is where it is. The birthplace of gunpowder and firearms, which are judged as weapons of dishonor and are being banned by across the empire. So that's Illyria. And then we finally got Monia, which is the bastion of the Arcanian aristocracy, protected from the rest of the empire by the sea. And a mountain ridge. It is the second oldest province of the empire. Here the noble traditions of yore are the strongest, and the lowly lot is denied all freedoms, save those they absolutely require. Yes, you can eat, and you can poo and wee, and that's all you can do. Otherwise you're cleaning, you're mopping up after us, and you're doing nothing. No pleasures, nothing. What a lovely place. The Monrog dynasty conquered Monia long ago and now reigns supreme in this impregnable province. So there we go. We got a bit of a feeling for the map. Some of these other cities and stuff we'll have a look at as and when we come across them. But we are here at the moment. Magra, our southern wasteland. Anizot is the nice little province capital. Down here, this is Illyria, the industry. This is the aristocracy. This is Arcania, lovely, bountiful, beautiful place. And then you've got the inhospitable north, Eternia, the capital of the empire. Okay, there we go, excellent. So the province. The hell is this? The province, Overseer Archduke Milanidas. Was that down here? Yeah, Magra. Patriarch Fotis. patriarch of the Magra province and the founder of the new faith. He was the first to defy the lots established in the teachings of Isatius. He encouraged people to find the twin gods within and says that everyone is equal in the twins' eyes. So he's a religious man. He's the overseer, the Archduke, Supreme Lord, obstinate and despotic, notorious even among the Archnians. And we've got like a relation with these people, so maybe we'll stumble across them. So this is power. Current balance of power in Magra and who rules. So the overseer is in power. If it gets any worse, the old nobility will be in power. There will be a struggle for power with a bit more increase. Commoners in power. Reign of terror. An interesting scale. The church, old faith, fall of the new faith, schism, new faith, fall of the old faith. Okay. Yep. So I get that. Eradication of the new faith, completely staunch. Old faith is obviously the what they're practicing right now, but there could be a schism, there could be a new faith starts to take hold. Most extreme, old faith gone. New faith reigns supreme. Okay. Wealth of Magra. We've got a wealth scale. Barren, misery, security, affluence, flourishing. And then order. Respect for law and the stability of order. Lawless, unrest, discontent, peace and triumph of the law. Martial law. So we're currently at peace. Secure in the wealth. The old faith reigns supreme at the moment, and the overseer has power. So all very nice and how they like it. Yeah, Patriarch Fotis is against the lot system, which is interesting. We may get on well with the Patriarch. We'll see. Okay, so that's the current province, and we're not going to look at anything else until a bit later. So we've got now a bit of information about the province, despite the state of affairs, the structure of society, the political climate, the power of the church, sentiments of the people. These factors can change as a result of the key historical events, but your actions can also become part of history and bring change to the province and then to the empire as a whole. It's quite interesting to kind of feel that your actions have such a wide impact on the state of the entire province, which is cool. All right, let's dive in then, shall we? Dive in. Your world grows. The neighbourhood, the houses nearby the streets. Okay, we read that, didn't we? We read that, I seem to recall. Yeah, let's carry on. Oh, more stuff. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. Your personal qualities at this age. We've did a little bit of looking at them. So nobility, we've got ingenuity, which is skills for a commoner, nobility, skills for a noble, more spirituality, skills for a priesty type thing, and our inner strength and our depth. These qualities will stay for you for your entire life. And the previous qualities that we had when we were a child apparently are now done. So you do your childhood stuff, you get your childhood qualities and they're locked in. You do your adolescent stuff and you get your adolescent qualities and they're locked in. I believe, I could be wrong, but correct me if I am wrong. And then they go towards the later chapters and have an impact. I think that's what somebody was saying, if I remembered correctly. So, there's no going back, basically, if you cock up and die because your grandfather beat you with a stick because you dared to kick him, which seemed like a foolish thing to do at the time, but still I felt compelled to do it because I didn't want to cry. Right, relation screen is now available. Province screen is now available. I thought we had a relation screen before. Did we not have this before? Oh, notice it's new. You have no relations yet. Oh, that's a new screen. I didn't realise. I'm thinking of the family screen. So we've got a relation screen too. Province screen, we've seen that. And we've got the map as well. Okay, so we're all primed and ready to rock and roll, folks. Let's crack on. The boy down the street. If he's a noble boy, don't push him to the floor, don't slap him, don't hit him, don't touch him, don't spit at him, don't do anything to this noble child or this noble lad or this noble teen. Don't do a thing, please. The family expects more and more of you as you grow up. The teachers and tutors hired by your father keep you on your toes all the time. Your life these days is dedicated to studying for your future, for the future of the Brante family. Your younger brother Nathan keeps growing up too. He can hold a conversation now. You never refuse him when he comes to play, provided you have a bit of free time between your demanding lessons. It is a rainy day today. Father and mother have gone to a ball, and they left Nathan in your care. You lose track of time over the books in the sitting room, and Nathan goes off alone to splash in a creek. Soon you hear his voice begging you to come outside. He's on the porch, sobbing, all covered in dirt. You walk up to him as he continues to bawl. It's all that kid. He pushed me into the ditch and called me names. He said I was a fancy pants fool. I said I'll call my brother. He's still there. You have to go and punish him, Benedict. No, we don't. Nathan points at a lopsided wooden house further down the street where the poorer artisans live. You see two boys lingering there on the porch. They are clearly both commoners, but far from poor. One of them is almost as tall as Nathan, and he frowns in a funny way, just like him. The other looks older, almost your age, but he is more broad-shouldered and taller. His name is Thomas. You've heard it before. There, Benedict, that's him. Nathan points at the younger boy and hides behind your back. Thomas grins and rolls up his sleeves to reveal strong forearms. He must have been helping his father with manual labour for quite some time. Or maybe he hit the gym, I don't know. Listen up, rich boys. We don't give a damn about you or your friendship. We don't let nobody call our home a stinking rat hole. Your little brother earned his ditch dive. Maybe next time he'll dress normal and stop picking fights with people who can throw him in the mud. Your hands clench into fists before you react. Nathan called them names first. No wonder they did the same. That's how it goes. But pushing your brother into a ditch is too much. Thomas stands tall and confident. He sees no threat in you. You are about to get ready for a fight when you feel a tug on your sleeve. You turn your head to see Nathan, the one who started the whole mess. Oh, I wanted to listen to him, but we can't. Why can't we do it? Oh, because of family unity. No, +1, +10, +1. Oh, because we do not have a relation with Thomas? That can't be right, surely. Oh, this is the consequences. That's the consequences. Oh, apologies. That's the consequences, though. My relation with Nathan is not high enough. And these are the consequences of picking that option. So we'd increase in willpower, we'd increase in unity, and we'd get a relation with Thomas. Right, okay. I get it now. Left is condition, right is consequence. Right. So resolve the matter peacefully. Don't want to see the consequences at the moment. Say your brother is to blame, or come at Thomas and give him a beating. I can't see the look. The last time we got into a scrap, it did not end well for us. This guy has got big forearms and is clearly is going to wipe the floor with us, and we'll look a fool in front of our brother. So, in the age-old kind of parlance here, we're kind of thinking along the lines of, well, he's big Thomas here. I push people in mud, but I'm thick as crap. And whereas we're a bit more from our childhood, we were very perceptive, if you remember. So, hopefully, try to bamboozle him with words and make him feel stupid. And teach Nathan that you don't always have to resolve problems with your fists. Set a good example and all that. Pick your fights. Pick your fights with your fist, but oftentimes this can be as strong as a weapon as this. I could have checked the consequences if I wanted, but we didn't. I think it's fine to check the consequences afterwards, just so we can see what we're getting out of it, I suppose, because we don't know what we're getting out of it, for example, right now. So, you turn to Thomas and offer to solve the problem like adults. His brother will apologise to Nathan, and Nathan will apologise to him in return. There is no need to fight anymore, and you will give Nathan a piece of your mind when you get home. You and Thomas are all grown up and should act your age, you say. Yes, we're feeling very smug, yes. All very adult here. The blood rushes to Thomas's face when he hears this. Oh dear. Okay. Act our age, you say? Are you calling me a baby? You better shut your trap. This is all he says before he attacks. You barely dodge a fist flying at your face. You start trading blows, huffing and puffing with rage. The younger brothers gawk in awe at the sight. Well, that went well. Thomas does not resort to fancy moves, dirty tricks or stupid taunts. He displays nothing but skill, earned in many a street fight, and his heavy fists aim for your head. You keep dodging him again and again, trying to reach him. He takes a couple of glancing blows, but easily shakes them off. What a bruiser. You start swinging your fists with greater and greater fury. Your heart is pounding like a hammer. You see nothing but the foe in front of you. How much longer will this take? You're worn out, your breath grows ragged, and your muscles grow heavy. But there is no way you can give up now. Nathan is watching. Desperate and out of options, you swing and punch Thomas square in the nose. Then immediately let his fist smack you in the temple. The blow rings through your head like a bell and blinds you for a moment. The world swims before your eyes. You clutch at your head to get your bearings. Thomas is standing in front of you, blood dripping from his nose. You no longer want to fight it out, and seems your opponent would rather end it too, but you keep standing there, eyeing each other angrily. Then suddenly, you hear an angry shout right next to you. An enraged man in a craftsman's apron is shaking his fist. Thomas's face contorts in terror right away. It's my father! Run! Thomas Guerrero. The punishment for fighting is flogging, and the mere prospect of that makes you run like the wind. Thomas sprints in front of you. You dash across the rotten wooden planks of the back alley, up and over a lopsided fence, across a giant puddle in one leap, and then forward into the tall grass. You hide there and stay quiet. You hear no sounds of pursuit. You exchange glances with Thomas and start laughing. His laughter is loud and infectious, but soon he cuts it short and grows sadder. I'm going to get flogged anyways. My dad's always quick to give me a beating, and then he'll start nagging me about the lots and the prayers for days like he always does. Why do I always get myself mixed up in this stuff? But fighting's the only way to prove you're worth anything, right? The adults didn't see you fighting, you tell him. So all you have to do now is convince them you weren't. Nosebleeds happen, right? Mother gets nosebleeds all the time. Well, we could try it. Let's hope our little brothers don't tell on us. I'll talk to mine. There's a scratch on your head. Don't let them see it. Good thing I didn't hit you in the face. There, good as new. You assure him that Nathan will never tell, and in return you'll make sure he behaves himself so he won't get tossed in a ditch again. With that, you shake hands with Thomas. His handshake is as strong as you would expect, based on his fists. You make your way out of the tall grass. You need to leave before Thomas's father goes to your family and complains about you breaking your lot. You come to a realization on the way back. You had no idea the place where you were hiding even existed, and it wasn't too far from home. Thomas smiles in excitement when he hears this. Oh, I'm playing with a pen. Oh, I know lots of places like that. I'll tell you what, if we get out of this mess today, I'll show you the way to the old fortress wall. It's the perfect place to build your own fort. I dragged a bunch of wooden planks there. Too bad it's no fun to build all alone. My brother never helps. He just gets in the way. You emerge from the muddy back alleys united by a secret only the two of you know. It seems you've made a friend today. Who would have thought? A punch-up, a fisticuff with old Thomas there has resulted in a bit of a friendship. Yes. There's worse ways to make friends, I suppose. And clearly there are better ways too. Right, so we got +1. So the only drawback I can see with checking the options or checking the consequences is obviously if we'd have checked the consequence, we would have seen the relationship increase with Thomas. So we would have been able to foresee before we read it that we were going to maybe have something go right, I suppose, is the only slight drawback of checking the consequences after we made the decision. I'll have to find a happy balance, I think. We've increased in spirituality, which is... we're making a clergy out of things, are we? Deaths will show in consequences too. Oh no, I don't know if I want to see that. Pick this and you will die. So I'll pick it then. As I said, I think sometimes sacrificing your life may be necessary. Okay, so we have made a friend. A boy named Thomas. Okay. Okay, 1127. We are now age 9. Riders on the road. It is blistering hot today, even for the sun-parched land of Magra. As soon as you are done with your studies, you dash outdoors and out of the stuffy room. You and Thomas roll up your shirt sleeves, but it barely helps. You would gladly go shirtless, had you only been in the company of other boys. But there are 3 girls in the yard today. They are doing the laundry in a big wash tub, whispering and giggling. If you could, you would gladly keep watching one of them at work. She has big eyes of deep blue, her dark hair is braided, and her plain grey dress is mended and patched all over. Her name is Sophia. She throws her head back a little when she laughs. The rays of sun are reflected in her eyes. You, Thomas, and the other boys keep telling silly stories, anything to make her laugh. Ha! You sure love telling tall tales, Benedict. I remember this one time. But then Sophia hears a voice calling her home. She nods to you and runs across the street smiling. Her light steps carry her forward, but her eyes are looking elsewhere. But then a stone on the road catches her foot. She stumbles and falls flat into the dust. Come on, Mr. Chivalry, run across and help her. The street starts shaking from the thundering of hooves. Riders appear on the road from around the corner. They bear a coat of arms you recognise right away. A sable serpent blade upon a field of vair. It symbolises the Milanidas dynasty, the family of your province's archduke. The horses dash forward. A lost wooden toy on the road cracks under their hooves. They will not slow down. They are the nobles, and the rest must make way for them. Sophia is in the way, just now starting to get back on her feet. Her mother is crying for her desperately from behind the fenced door. You freeze in terror. The riders surely see the girl. Are they going to stop, or are they going to trample her? In only a few moments, the beautiful girl will be toppled, trampled, and crushed. Oh, we can't. This is Sophie. Blue eyes, hair back, laughing. Ha ha! Save her! Death. This is death. This is death. Stay where you are. Oh! If we'd have left her, Sophie would have died her first death. Oh, I don't want to die. I don't want to read it. I don't want to read it. I don't want to read it. Just click it. Just click it. I don't want to see. You throw yourself blindly into the road, swinging your arms wildly. Dazed by the sound of the thundering hooves, you see nothing in the dust. For a brief moment the horses slow down, just long enough for Sophia to get back on her feet and flee to the roadside. But then the riders dig their spurs in, which means they're going to go faster. Does a... Okay. Right, alright. Jesus. Dozens of hooves knock you off your feet and roll across your body. Your bones crack, break, and crumble. Your ears are ripped apart by the thundering rhythm of the ride. Your innards are pulverized. The last thing you remember is the sound of your own skull caving in. Oh no! Okay, so if we had have seen the consequences, right? We'd have seen that we would have died if we'd have protected her. And we'd have seen that she would have had her first death had we not. And would that have influenced us? If we were playing the game, like, to let it influence us, then we could have said, look, it's her first death. It's going to be our second, right? It's a bit more important for us. It's our second death. Halfway to death. Therefore, we'll sacrifice Sophie's first death and we'll just stand there frozen like a rabbit in the headlights. Clearly, if we were playing it, if we were trying to be smart about this, but clearly we were mesmerised by her blue eyes and her hair, and we thought we'd play the hero and maybe be able to get her out of the way and not have our innards trampled and our skull caved in and ears ripped off, but clearly not. So, death number 2 it is. Okay, I'm learning a lesson. Don't defy your nobles and don't play the hero. It is more immersive. Well, I turned them on because I was not to actually not to influence our decision or anything, but when it comes to consequences that we're not sure of or options that we're not sure of in terms of who we're trying to help or it's not clear what then we might use it. But like for that, it was quite clear. We're going to either put ourselves in harm's way to try and save her or not. So we don't need to see the consequences. We can kind of gather that we're probably going to be likely injured or dead as a result of picking save her. So that was quite clear. Hence why I didn't feel the need to check the consequences for that one. I didn't want to see the fact that we were going to die because we'd let it happen. But I'm only going to check the consequences when it's an ambiguous choice. I don't know. Now that we've died twice, I kind of think we're going to be more cautious. We've got to be, right? We're not even out of our. We're not even 10 yet. I think we're 9. We've died twice. Impenetrable darkness surrounds you. You stand alone, bare to your very essence. It paralyzes you. You have an urge to cover yourself, to hide. No one should see you so vulnerable, but you cannot conceal the truth in this place. You are bathed in an unbearably bright light. It has no hint of warmth in it. It is blinding. It leaves no shadows in the entire world. It is the light of the shining pillar itself. In this radiance, you can clearly see all your thoughts and doubts, your errors and transgressions, the contradictions that have permeated you since birth. They cover you from head to toe like rough grey tatters, but they melt away in this light. You are naked. Yeah, the music is really good, isn't it? You feel liberated and whole. It is as though all the wounds and cracks in your soul have been healed, making it the way it should be. It is as though the scales have fallen from your eyes. You see the true shapes of things now. These are the laws by which the world abides, the grand design that moves life itself. You tread a path that is barely visible in the blinding light, giving shape to everything. In this light you see the infinite complexity of the world, from the tiniest leaf to the enormity of the empire. And this world maintains its balance by virtue of the law that was embedded in it during the act of creation. Ahead of you, two figures are waiting on the path. They are gigantic, many times taller than a man. The elder holds a lash, the younger a sword. The younger gazes at you sternly, coldly. You kneel obediently before him and lower your head. The god raises his sword above you. This is divine retribution. There is no law without it, nor can there be. Every action has consequences. This is what shapes the world, making its very existence possible. In this moment, beneath the gaze of the merciless God, you comprehend the law that binds the entire world together. What or which manifestation of the law will you live by? Okay, so we had before something and we picked family. So empire, is this not the ultimate manifestation of the law? The great and incredibly sophisticated mode of existence of all people. Your lot, your family, cause. Your life's work shapes the world and thus you influence the great law itself. Yourself, you are an embodiment of the law. You have been made in accordance with the divine design or against the law. You defy the design of the gods and the law that binds it together. Ooh. First time it was love, yes. So family, love, so law. My first instinct is empire, really, because the empire is the ultimate manifestation, the great and incredibly sophisticated mode of existence. But it says, which manifestation of the law will you live by? So this is like open rebellion, isn't it? Live by the law of the empire. This means we're going to be compliant. Or how about yourself? We will live by whichever, I don't know, we'll live on our own terms. We won't follow one path or another, but we'll follow our own path. Tough choices for a 10-year-old. Yeah, I just want to, yeah, when I was 10, I was like, do you want Pop-Tarts for breakfast or do you want Ready Break? It's a tough choice. It's a tough choice. Pop-Tarts, chocolatey goodness, but burns your mouth because it's been in the toaster. Or Ready Break, creamy, milky and sweet, warming on a winter's day. Very tough indeed. It's quite on a par with this choice, if you ask me. But anyway, right. I think we're going to go with ourselves. I don't want to. It's kind of. I almost feel like we'd be pressured. We'd be pressured. You know, we're here in front of these two gods who are, you know, almost like judging us at this point, and we're kneeling down, and to openly commit to being against the law seems a bit much after we've died twice. Do we want to do anything else to either go all out, rebel against the system, or submit to it? I disagree. I think if we look at ourselves as an embodiment of the law and thus a law unto ourselves, then we can kind of carve our own path. Just because we're saying this now, I don't think it commits us to anything. So I think we are a law unto ourselves, and we will live by the principles that we deem necessary. The blade flashes. The younger's sword slashes through the air above your head. You do not yet deserve your final punishment. The law demands that you continue your life. Your form has not been completely destroyed, nor has that of the world. The younger extends his gigantic hand and shows you the way. You must proceed. The path leads you to the top of the crown of the silver tree, spread wide in the white gleam. The branches are closed now. It is time to descend. You are drawn downward into darkness. The shadows that had disappeared in the blinding glow creep around you and envelop you. This is to be expected. But the purity and clarity of spirit are still with you. Something is forcing your throat open. Air. It scratches you on the inside. Your soul is filled with struggle again, with the contradictions from which the fabric of this world and you yourself are woven. The divine light that gave you clarity is fading away with each passing moment. You have to open your eyes. Above you is the dark ceiling of the crypt. Again, you are reborn. God. Then you can feel again. You sense your body, head, arms and legs. The light fades around you, obedient before a will that is stronger than you. You return to the world. Such is the law of the twins. You will return to the world until the time of your true death, and in this world you will have a body with which to feel pain and suffering and pleasure. Have we ever experienced pleasure? I don't think we have. Have we? Every time we try to experience pleasure, something bad happens. You smell a sickly, moist odour. You open your eyes and see the figures of mother and father in the gloom of the family crypt, speaking to each other quietly. They stop as soon as they hear you gasp. Mother runs to you and locks you in an embrace as father wraps you in his cloak. Neither of them says a word as they lead you out to the surface and back home. Oh, God, you've met a terrible end, my son. You were trampled by those horses. Don't be so careless ever again. The lives you were granted by the twin gods are not to be wasted so recklessly. You would be punished for this, but the twins have already meted out their punishment. You tremble, your steps unsteady as you learn how to move again. Your body is eerily smooth, fresh and renewed. Even the recent scars and scratches are all gone. But there is something new on it, a fresh black mark, a reminder of your lesser death beneath those hooves. There was that time with the candy. Feels like you could have left the girl. Yes, we could have left the girl, clearly. Of course we could. But we chose the chivalrous option. So now we've learned not to disrespect nobles and not to be careless and not to save young damsels in distress. Life lessons worth learning, folks. May influence our future decision making. Just saying. Remember that, by the twins' mercy, we are all given enough time in this world. Should you die before your time, you will be brought back by their grace. For 3 times they will rescue you from a terrible fate, but the 4th death is true and final for all. Every loss of a life we were granted at our birth is a heavy blow to us, but the gods told us not to mourn a lesser death, and so we will humbly accept this and move on. See, your body has been reborn anew, with all your wounds healed. Do not mourn your loss of life, my son, but thank the twin gods for their justice. Do not speak of this, and do not ever play by the road again if you wish to keep on living. Bloody hell, Jesus Christ. I only wanted to play by the road. You cautiously go back outside the next day. Children from the neighbourhood surround you. They all saw you get trampled, and now they all ask you the same question. What was it like to die? Thomas rescues you from their pestering. He pushes the motley crew aside, hugs you, and pats you on the back. Look at you, buddy. You gave an entire life to keep a girl safe. Then you see Sophia. She is standing nearby, shyly working up the courage to walk over to you. Soon, she finally approaches you and begins speaking rapidly. Benedict, why did you throw yourself in front of the horses? My life isn't worth any more than yours, so why do you think that? You weren't supposed to die there. It was all those riders' fault. They deserve to die, not you. Her voice rises to a shriek. She suddenly stops and runs back home. You stay where you are, watching her run, the golden rays of the sun dancing in her braided hair. It was worth it, right? It was worth it to see her hair dancing in the... Here comes the good part. Hey up. Relations +1 with good old Sophia, future wife in the making. Perhaps we can be betrothed. And are you a genius by any chance? Oh, wow. Okay, so we increased ability. We increased ingenuity. We increased spirituality. We used willpower. And we've died twice. Okay. All right. All right. And we got an achievement. Sophia saved. Event has happened. You saved the local girl named Sophia from lesser death. We've rescued Sophia. Excellent. Excellent. Or is it excellent? I don't know. Oh, I didn't know Liverpool. Is it the Champions League? Is the Champions League on? I didn't even realise Liverpool were playing Real Madrid. I mean, I don't usually watch football. And I would never cancel the stream. The stream was never planned, but I would never kind of put a football before the stream. But Liverpool v Real Madrid should be a top match. Okay, here we are, age 10. Can we make it to 18, please? Right, so we're going to be more cautious, and we're not going to defy our betters for now. Any more life lessons we need to learn? Let's hope we don't see Mom here. Good old Mom. Bloody hell. I suppose I wasn't bloody having nightmares about Mom in bed last night. Right. So I'm no playing in roads, and yeah. Fall. Soil and gunpowder. Oh, here we go. Can possibly go wrong now. Sophia disappeared after the terrible incident with the horses. Her friends gossip that her parents sent her off to serve a rich noble dinner. After all that, she's never to be seen again. Are you kidding me? Oh. You haven't seen each other since that day, but you still remember Sophia's eyes, the sunlight shining in them. But no matter what, life goes on. Oh my God, if we never see her again, that is going to pee me off. You are 10 years old now. Your studies continue, and you are learning more about the land you live in. Anizot is an ancient city in an imperial province by the name of Magra. All soil in Magra was turned to ash aeons ago, scorched by magic during the rebellion of Duke Char Milanidas. The magical arts are all but gone now, but the scorched earth has remained barren and infertile ever since. Since then, the entire province has lain barren, tormented by cold and scorching winds in equal measure, with few precious plants taking root on their own. All fertile land in Magra is bought elsewhere, and brought here by an endless caravan of carts and carriages. To pay for food and soil, the cities of Magra became skilled in many trades, primarily mining and digging for metals and stone. Last fall there was an explosion just outside the city, followed by clouds of thick smoke. The first such incident frightened the citizens, but then explosions and smoke became an everyday occurrence. Soon everyone grew used to it. Father explains that the miners are now using a new invention called gunpowder. It makes it easier for them to reach the precious stones and metals buried deep within the earth. Then one day a thunderous explosion rocks the city, and black, billowing smoke covers the houses, People are stuck in their homes, all windows tightly shut. The air is impossible to breathe. Nathan coughs all the time. Gloria and you cough only when nobody is watching. If Mother hears it, she'll make you inhale those hot herbal vapours, just like Nathan. It takes 2 days for the black smoke to disperse. People pour out onto the streets to meet their friends. Thomas is eager to share everything he knows about this incident with you. They took lots of burnt up people to the city temple. Mom told me she was helping the healers. There are many rumours. Some claim it was the work of a beast stirred from its slumber, while others say it's the surviving witches that continue to threaten the order in the Empire with their accursed powers. But as for you, you patiently wait for Father to come back home, and then you'll ask him about it. Father spends day and night working at the prefecture, while Mother spends all her time in prayer. It takes a full week for Father to finally come home, and he's almost completely spent. You muster enough courage during dinner to ask him what happened outside the city. Father raises his head, his face a bleak, wary mask, and starts muttering his proclamation. It's almost as if he doesn't see you. It's a mine outside the city. They were trying to get a vein of ore. There was an explosion. The mine caved in and the black smoke started flowing. Many workers died there. It was all because Count El Velasco, who owns the mines, wanted them to start mining that vein before they were ready. Some of the workers weren't even reborn. Perhaps the twins thought their final time had come. The prefecture has been inundated with complaints from families that have lost the breadwinners, asking the judges for help. Many people also lost their cattle to the black smoke. Count El Velasco blames gunpowder for this disaster. The prefecture and the newspapers just repeat whatever he says. But it's plain old greed and tyranny of noblemen that are to blame. Why is the welfare of our province always paid for with commoner lives? Then, without warning, he grows silent again. You keep thinking about it for days. Can a human life really end so easily? A single moment of bad luck and you die, only to re-emerge from the temple or the family crypt with a new black mark on your arm. Or worse, you remain where you fell, dead, never to be reborn again. Ever. Oh, so we have lost a bit of order. Still peaceful at the moment, and the wealth of Magra has increased due to the increased ore production. Oh no, oh no. More scope for tragedy here. Stephen's arrival. God. Oh no. Oh God. Can we hold our tongue? We're 2 deaths in, Benedict. During lunch, Father tells you to stay home in the evening and prepare to meet some important guests. Your elder brother Stephen will return home by dinner tonight. Joining him will be your grandfather, Gregor, as well as a noble friend of the family. You are excited about your brother's return. Are we? It has been years since you last saw him. How has he changed during his years away from home? Surely not for the better. You and Father await the guests anxiously. The doorbell rings. 3 people are standing outside. Grandfather is the first to come in, naturally. He has not changed a bit since his last visit, still eyeing the house with contempt, looking for any reason to demean it. Grandfather is followed by a stately young man, dressed in a jacket embroidered in silver, whom you barely recognize as your brother. Stephen casts a glance at your threadbare clothes, your dirty fingernails, and smirks. The last to enter the house is a personable gentleman. with a worn-out, wrinkled face. You have heard a lot about this man from father and grandfather. He is Baron Augustine Elborn, Stephen's uncle, a family friend, and the province's prefect, which means that he is the head judge and thus father's superior. Sir Elborn smiles lightly and offers you his hand. And this must be your youngest son, Benedict, yes? You have your father's eyes, young man. Father bows slightly to grandfather and Sir Elborn, but there is a moment of quiet when Stephen's turn comes. Father reaches out to him awkwardly, expecting an embrace. There is a question in Stephen's eyes as he looks at grandfather. The old man shakes his head almost imperceptibly. We noblemen oughtn't put our emotions on public display, father, not even after a lengthy separation. There is no embrace. Instead, Stephen nods to father curtly. He responds in kind, his face devoid of emotion. After the greeting, you proceed to the sitting room. Elborn is the first to enter. He kisses mother's hand, and Glory's too, and tussles Nathan's hair after he sees him hiding by the table. Grandfather acknowledges them with a glum nod. Greetings, Lydia Brante. I remember you were kind to me when I was but a child. And you must be Nathan. You could barely walk when I last saw you. Your elder brother ignores Gloria completely. Not even a greeting. You proceed to the dining room in a dignified manner and take your seats. The dishes smell delicious, but they merely punctuate the overwhelming tension at the table. Elborn is the only one with a friendly smile on his face. Ah, yes, the dinner is splendid, Lydia. Did you choose the dishes yourself? You have a truly refined palate. It warms my heart to know Stephen spent his early years with you. Womanly care always does a good child good, no matter the estate. Your thought freezes in the air halfway to your mouth. You expect many things from a noble of the sword, but words of praise for a low-born woman are not one of them. Oh, 2-0, Jesus. You cast a glance at grandfather. He looks like he's about to choke on those words. It would do my grandson more good to stay at boarding school among his equals. Please, Gregor, parenting is no less important. Nothing can replace a mother's love. I cannot deny it. It saddens me greatly that my late sister could not be there to raise Stephen. But there was still a family for him, and he was surrounded by love. How could that be bad? Oh, so he's our father's first wife's brother. Oh, uncle. Yeah, you mentioned uncle when we were introduced. I've just realised. A bit slow, you see. And besides, his father was by his side all the while. A father's example is always the best. After all, Robert earned the judge's rank the same way you did. Your grandson will surely follow in your footsteps, and who knows, perhaps even the younger men of the Brante family will contribute to the... You clumsy, low-born cretin! Everybody is startled by this sudden outburst. Grandfather's face turns red. He is glaring at a young lady servant holding a pitcher over a glass. Stephen is sitting right next to her, dabbing a napkin on a fresh stain on his jacket. Oh, he's stained his jacket. Oh, God. Oh, the twin gods. Be gone this instant! The lady servant runs away, leaving the pitcher on a small table by the door. After a quiet moment, Elborn smiles again. Ah, it appears the servants have left us, yet dinner is far from over. Worry not, uncle. there are enough commoners at this table to keep us served with food and drink. Stephen glares at Gloria across the table. She is sitting right next to you. She shrinks down and hunches over under his gaze. Father furrows his brows. Mother covers her mouth with trembling hands. Grandfather sneers. Stephen's gaze does not move. The silence lasts far too long. Then she starts to rise from her chair. If the Brante gentlemen so wish it. Your hands clench into fists, oh God, under the table. How can he bring himself to humiliate his own family, his own mother and sister like this? It is all grandfather's doing. Stephen could not even bring himself to embrace father without his permission, and yet they are noblemen, and they have the right to act this way. If there is any way this dinner can become even more unbearable, you do not want to see it. Insult our brother? No, clearly not. Make small talk? No. We're going to basically join Gloria in her plight. We are commoners too, and we're going to hopefully again sort of spread the glares at the table. Glare at us both, not a problem. I'll serve you wine or whatever, but fine, whatever, not a problem. You want wine? Poof, spill it on grandfather's lap, see how he likes that. Option to purposely spill wine on him. Let's see if that comes up. Anyway, let's see what happens if we don't pick that one. So we can insult our brother, which means that we lose relationship with our brother, and our relationship with Gloria goes up. We could make small talk over dinner, which is kind of a middle ground. Basically increases our nobility and increases our relations with Gregor. I don't know what's going to happen with joining Gloria. We're not going to see it, but let's find out. You deliberate for a moment, then take the napkin off your lap and rise to join Gloria. A moment later, you hear the sound of another chair moving. Your mother joins you. Yeah, strength in numbers. The three of you now refill glasses, serve food, and clear away dirty dishes. Sir Elborn tries to make small talk with father, but in vain, so he focuses his attention on grandfather and Stephen. Grandfather is pleased to inform him of Stephen's achievements at the boarding school, especially his exemplary sword fighting skills. He constantly stresses the importance of your elder brother for the future of the family. You listen to him dispassionately as you continue serving new dishes to the table. As you wait at the nobleman's table, you, your sister and mother never bump into each other. Your labour is impeccable. Grandfather could not have found fault, even if he tried. Your shoulders and back are aching, but being a manservant inside your own house hurts even more. When the guests finally leave, Mother and Gloria embrace you with relief. You did not neglect your relatives and shared their humiliation, and the composure that you have shown gave you new strength. Excellent. I like that option. We gain willpower. 2-1 now. What a game. Okay, here we go. We're now age 11. I keep forgetting how young we are. A dropped handkerchief. Hot, dry wind sweeps through the city from the barren lands around it. The noble residents of Anizot prefer to remain in their chambers, while the commoners huddle in tents or in the shade of the silver tree. You are on an errand right now. Your father wrote a letter to a noble acquaintance, and you are to deliver it. Thomas, the boy down the street, is tagging along. The two of you are inseparable now. Considering how he started, this is quite an achievement. The errand is an easy one, so you decide to take this opportunity to loiter around the part of Anisot where the nobles live. God. So here you are, in the middle of the city. City square, resting on the ancient brickwork by the old fountain in the merciful shade of the gargantuan silver tree. Thomas is by your side, lazily slouching on the edge of the fountain's basin. It's a hard life for commoners like you and me. Either you break your back in a workshop day and night, hoping someone will buy you goods someday, or you become a manservant to some noble. You never get a chance to enjoy life. This is our lot, you remind him. We work and endure and suffer. Are we coming to terms with it? But Thomas waves your words away. Yeah, I know all that already. Mother keeps drilling that stuff into me. We must be humble. Our strength is patience and persistence. So yeah, I say, but I want to make my fortune no matter what. So how ain't that living by my lot, I ask you? But the lots, they ain't easy. Let's take you, for example. Brante. Your father's a nobleman, but even if that didn't make you one, just look at your hands. You never had to work as hard as me, but we have the same lot, so we're supposed to suffer the same. Or look at your father. He's a judge. He toils at the prefecture day and night doing his judging, and he's a noble. I have never seen an Arcnian work as hard as he does. You shrug. The Arcnians are a different race. The books say they were born to rule over humans. They are never commoners, always nobles of the sword by birth. They founded the empire after subduing all the human kingdoms on this continent. Humans will never be their equals. Arcnians are always better, smarter, stronger, and their skin is a noble shade of blue. If the books are to be believed, of course. You have never seen one yourself. Your idle chatter is suddenly interrupted by a rugged-looking guardsman dressed in black and green. He chases you away from the fountain. Common rabble like you have no place here. You hear the clattering of hooves, and it sends us into a frenzy. Flashbacks. And wheels against the cobblestones and see flags bearing a coat of arms, a sable serpent on a field of vair. It makes you squirm. It is, once again, the Archduke's coat of arms, the Milanidas dynasty. The carriage door opens, revealing a young lady in a luxurious dress. You cannot look away from her. Those dainty shoulders, suggested but not revealed by the cut of her dress, her black hair cascading over them, her stately slim silhouette, her pouty lips and prim nose, and those eyes, dark like the night sky. The way she moves, fluidly, gracefully, and most incredible of all, her skin glows an azure blue. She is a masterpiece, given life. She is an Arcnian. Clear the way for me! The Milanidas guardsmen work quickly to clear the way to the fountain for the Arcnian lady. The searing sun dances on her skin in bizarre patterns. With one elegant motion, she reveals a handkerchief, then leans over the basin and wipes her head and neck with its cool water. Well, I'll be! That's Octavia Milanidas, our Archduke's own daughter. The Arcnian turns away and proceeds gracefully back to her carriage. You see something slip out of her hand and fall onto the cobblestones right next to you. Her handkerchief. Oh, God. Every time something happens in this game, I just get a sense of dread. It's a flipping hanky that's fallen down, and I'm thinking to myself, oh God, what's going to happen now? What, can I nick it? Can I keep it? Can I smell it? Can I... Oh God. It's right there, by your feet. Intricate craftsmanship, expensive woven fabric, delicately decorated with an emerald filigree. Your heart skips a beat, so does mine. Will you dare draw the beautiful Arknian's attention in order to return her lost possession? Or would you rather not attempt to cross the chasm between you and her? Okay. Where a 10-year... She's clearly not noticed it. Many people probably haven't noticed it. And we're a 10-year-old or an 11-year-old child, right? So, you know, hormones racing. Maybe it's even a bit too soon for hormones to be racing. But we've admired her beauty. And she's mopped her brow with it. And, you know... who said I'm an honest child? I didn't say I was honest, did I? We just don't openly lie when we're speaking. You know? So, I kind of want to keep it as a memento. I don't know why. Why? I don't want it. Why? I might think, oh God, we're a 10-year-old child, her hanky's fallen, and it's this most beautiful woman's put it all over her face and neck, and we kind of want to keep it, and it's touched her face. Just emissions of truth. Exactly. That's what we're picking. I clearly want this game to end prematurely. Right, so if we were to give it back, it's going to cost willpower. So what would have happened? We would have lost willpower. We would have unlocked a destiny moment, and she would have remembered us. Oh God. But yeah, it's almost like keeping the candy, I suppose. But impulsiveness sometimes wins through. You know, it's a strong word, love, for a 10-year-old. But, you know, the fairer sex, whoever you're attracted to, it makes you do funny things. Makes you do strange things. There's things you do for love. Sleep with your sister, if you're an Lannister. So we're going to do a stupid thing and keep the memento. I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it. Let's just read it and weep. You carefully observe Lady Octavia as she leaves. Her delicate figure moves through the square like a waking dream. Her elegant hands gliding through the air, her hair flowing in the light breeze. Your eyes watch all of her. She returns to the carriage, leaning on a guardsman's shoulder as she gracefully climbs back inside. Got willpower. The soft handkerchief feels warm in your hand. You fold it carefully and hide it in your pocket. The carriage drives away, marked by the thudding rhythm of hooves. Until that day, you associated the Melanidas dynasty with nothing but indifferent cruelty. But now, your breast pocket holds the proof of yet another quality they possess. Beauty. Interesting. So not necessarily a bad thing. That may come back to haunt us in the future, because if she would have remembered us doing it, giving her it back, she might have looked at something more favourably in the future. But hey, you can't live your life, you know, with these kind of things. What if? Let's just do what we think sometimes is right, and sometimes impulsive, and sometimes we think things through a bit more methodically. This time, her beauty was so mesmerising, we wanted to touch it, we wanted to keep a piece of it. Okay, the Quorum Decree. 12 years old now. You overhear an important conversation. It is a spring night, and Mother has just sent everyone to bed. You walk past Father's study and hear voices coming from beyond the door. Grandfather is yelling, and Father is replying quietly. The elder Brante men are fighting, arguing about the place of the commoners in the city. You sneak outside to avoid Mother's attention and hide next to the open window of the study. Perhaps they'll mention you too. That low-life idiot had the gall to pay me a visit and beg me for some service. He had the insolence to ask me outright. He thought I was going to support his claim for the chairman's seat in the lesser quorum. How dare he? Father, please listen. Mayor Egmont may be a lowborn, but he carries a lot of clout in Magra. He owns 5 iron mines. A friend like him could be quite useful, should he become the chairman of the lesser quorum. I don't give a damn who this Egmont is, Robert. What he is, however, is lowborn. His lot is humility and obedience. The likes of him can never rule anything. They're nothing but a flock of sheep that need a firm, noble hand to guide them. I wasted so many years trying to quash that quorum decree, but that accursed Cornelius Tempest did everything in his power to make the Emperor sign that pathetic screed. And now even lowlives can wield power. True power, Robert. Just the right to discuss the size of the Archduke's tax, nothing more. That is only the beginning. What's next? Are they going to arm the lowlives now? Make them into judges? If the Empire rejects the foundations and the lots, the entire edifice will crumble. Bah! Who am I telling this to? It is already crumbling, and you, my son and heir, are a harbinger of its destruction. Father, I'm begging you, I do not wish to marry a 3rd time. Lydia is a good wife and a dutiful mother to my children. If you would only allow her to... I will allow them nothing. Neither Egmont nor that freeloading wench of yours. What will you want me to do next? Live by the laws of the lowborn? I can already see where this is going, and I'd rather run my own sword through my gut than live in a country where nobles and lowlives share the same rights. My only dream is to see the name of Brante in the Blue Book, but that dream will never come true. They will never call me Venerable El Brante, and it's all because of this marriage of yours. My only hope now is to hear Stephen addressed in such a manner one day. Thank the twins I didn't let you ruin that boy. He's about to grow up a true nobleman. His children will bear the name of El Brante. You have 2 more grandsons. Those spineless milksops from the common lot, they're incapable of anything. The best your middle son could do is sneak into the Imperial College and get ennobled by the mantle, although I'd have grave doubts about even that. As for the downtrodden Nathan, I hold out no hope for him whatsoever. Good Lord. Oh, see you later, Alabi. You hear grandfather's heavy footsteps, the thudding of his cane, and the slamming of the door. It's time to sneak back home before you're discovered. Ooh. Power has increased, which is a bad thing for the nobility. The quorum decree. School begins. You started studying at the school of Sir Tybor and begin to master the sciences. All right. A storm of expectations. Oh dear, 2-2. Jesus, this game is absolutely a barnstormer by the sounds of it. Is it still the first half? Give me 1 second. I think my dinner's ready. 35 minutes. Good Lord. Right, let me... So my dinner's ready. So we'll do this next little bit of the chapter, and then we'll take a pause. We shall take a pause so I can eat my dinner, which today is a quarter chicken with a barbecue sauce on it, some sweet potato, mashed sweet potato, and some carrots and some broccoli and some swede with a cheese sauce drizzled all over it, which is making me rather hungry right now, despite the fact that I had pancakes earlier. I have some more room, it seems. Right, okay, excellent. So a storm of expectation. Finally the day comes when the teachers stop coming to the house. But before you can breathe a sigh of relief and put away the books, Father asks you to come to his study. You've grown, my son. It's time for you to continue your education away from home. I've chosen a deserving school for you, Sir Tybor's School for the Children of Noblemen and Well-Off Commoners. Naturally, it is not a boarding school for nobles, so you will study there during the day and come home in the evening. And that's a bad thing? You share the news with your best friend, Thomas. Sir Tiber's School, eh? Yeah, I got to ask my parents to send me there too as soon as they get the coin together. Father says his workshop has toiled day and night for years to save up for my education. The school is based in an ancient estate of Artnian design. The classrooms are tall and spacious, with massive benches. The sounds of scraping quills and lectures on history and imperial law and theology echo under the vaulted ceilings. The rules are strict, the lessons tiring. Restless, Thomas keeps getting distracted, and several times he gets his hand slapped with a stick for it. Every teacher demands flawless mastery of their subject. Every day, Father asks you about your studies. You have already told him twice how Magra joined the Empire and how the noble's court of honour is different from the commoner's civil court in the city of prefecture, but Father keeps pressuring you to work even harder. When it's time to go to bed, Mother will not let you go to sleep until you recite a newly learned prayer for her. And when it is time to go to school, you promise her every day that you will behave with great humility and steer clear of insolent behaviour of any kind. For you still live by the commoner's lot, and that lot is hard work and suffering. Oh yeah, don't forget the suffering. Your first month in school draws to a close, and the teachers announce that there will be exams at the end of the month to determine the best and the worst students in each subject. Father insists that you devote all your spare time to studying law and history, if you wish to follow in his footsteps. But when you speak to Mother every day, you start considering theology. You still remember the revelations and divine visions that came to you in your earliest years. The shadows stood behind as we were born into this world that we refused to engage with. The fact that we have visited the twin gods twice due to dying. Strong enough reason to consider theology? No, clearly not. Law and history? Maybe. We want to be a soldier, ultimately. You have only one more day until the exam. You have locked yourself away in your room. It is already getting late. Your desk is covered with handwritten notes surrounded by leather-bound books. Just looking at them makes you queasy, but you have to read through all of them again, at least for one of your subjects. There is a nagging thought on your mind. Thomas ended up in big trouble the other day. He got in a fight with several boys who live in the next street. They heard about your wooden fortress and got in an outrage by the fortification built by commoners. They swore to dismantle it tonight. Thomas swore he would defend the fortress until the end. Perhaps you should abandon the books to rescue the friend in... why? Why? But then you hear your little brother Nathan knocking at the door. He stands there shyly, not saying a word. He often does that, standing still and staying speechless until either you speak first or he runs away. But this time he actually says something. The door is locked. Are you okay, Benedict? Is there anything I can do to help? Oh, bless him. Your head is spinning. This is the last evening before the school exam. If you fail, your family will be very disappointed. You have to refresh your memory on law or theology, either one or the other. But Thomas and your fort are about to be stormed. Why today of all days? You grind your teeth in rage at the thought. Nathan is by the door trying not to bother you. He wants to help you the only way he can for reasons only known to him. Will you accept his help? I hate this game. I hate it! Right. Okay. If we go and help Thomas, we're going to be going to fight with noble children. Which clearly is a horrendous thing to do. But it's our friend. Loyalty. Loyalty. But where's loyalty and chivalry got us? It's got us dead. Law and history study. We're not studying theology. That's definitely out. So let's check that option. We're just increasing spirituality, and Lydia likes us. So if we focus on law, we'll increase in law, or whatever the law version is, and our father will probably like us. If we go and help Thomas, Thomas will probably like us more, but there'll be a consequence. Probably not a good one. And what's Nathan babbling on about? What is Nathan babbling on about? Oh man, this is quite a tough one, is this one? The only way I can rule out for certain is theology. Right, let me think. I always like to go with my impulse. I always like to go... The racking of the decision making here. I always like to go with my impulse, right? And we're 12, are we 12 or 13? And, you know, law, history, study, theology. Maybe if we go... I know this is not going to happen, clearly. But in my head, we can go out there, we can deal with the situation with the thought, and still have time to come back and finish our studies. We foolishly think. We can't leave a friend in need. I'm sorry. This is our first month at school. How many years have we got here? We've got plenty of time to play catch up if we flunk the first exam. Oh, why am I talking myself into a playthrough that's going to end by the time we get to an adult? I don't think this is going to kill us. No, this is not going to kill us. This is going to be an issue, but it's not going to kill us, right? You push Nathan out of the room. He cannot possibly help you prepare for the exam, but once you are sure nobody's behind the door, you open the window and climb out into the yard and over the fence. And then you run, like the wind, to your wooden fort where Thomas is in peril. The battle for the fort has already begun. Thomas is cornered. He swings a loose wooden plank, fending off 3 boys at once. This is not a fair fight by any means. Your friend is rugged enough to have a fighting chance against 2 of them, but 3 is too many. But here comes the cavalry. Where have you been, Benedict? Trying to smash our fort. Get him! You flank the assailants and slam into them at full speed, channeling the cavalry of the holy warriors. You take them by surprise as you pull one of the aggressors away and knock him out with a punch to the jaw. Good grief. Thomas cheers you on. You team up and make short work of the remaining foes. Oh, excitement, exhilarating. I like it. Your enemies retreat in shame. Thomas got a black eye and his knuckles are all covered in blood, but he looks unusually pleased with himself. Couldn't have done it without you. Just look at him, trying to tell us where to build our fort. Okay, time to fix her up. Woohoo! Your score on the exam was merely satisfactory, but still well above a failing grade. The family is not too happy with you, but life goes on and your studies continue. As I thought they would. That's what I said. It's the first exam, for God's sake. We can catch up. We're not going to leave a friend in need. You know you could have worked harder to prove yourself to your teachers, but your wooden fort still stands proud. And that is what matters. We're bright. Yeah. Okay, this is going to be a chapter or a thingy change, isn't it? Noble. Okay, so we'll read. There's no decisions here. This is just these tend to be just flavour updates. So we'll get through this and then I'll eat my dinner. Okay, so our education continues. As you study imperial law, you come to realise that there is a certain hierarchy, even within the noble estate. It seems your father's status is not quite equal to that of the more eminent human and Arknian gentry. You return home with this new information at your disposal. Father asks you about school after dinner, as he always does. And what is the difference between nobles of the mantle and those of the sword, Benedict? You already have an answer ready. The latter status is hereditary, meaning that it is passed down from father to son. After the Arknians, nobles of the sword are the most eminent humans in the empire. They own land and estates. They fill offices of the highest ranks, and the names of their bloodlines are preserved within the Great Blue Book. Nobility of the sword can only be granted by the overseer of the province, or the emperor himself. And how are such eminent people addressed? Your Royal Highness graciousness? With honorific L before their last name, you respond. Sir Augustin L. Baum, for example. Father pats you on the shoulder, clearly pleased. And what about the Arknians and their status? What have you learned about them? The Arknians stand above all human gentry. They are born to rule over humans regardless of their titles. No L is required when addressing them. They need no honorifics, for the names of their ancient dynasties are known to all. Father nods somberly. Yes, we can never be their equals. Do whatever an Arcanian tells you and never defy them. Ever. Take note. And what about grandfather and me? Where do we stand as nobles? That is easy. Father and grandfather are nobles of the mantle. This title cannot be inherited, but it can be earned by any commoner as a reward for great service to the Empire in the Legion, or as a civil servant. Father suddenly grows quiet and looks you in the eye intently. Yes, and someday you will earn a noble title too, son. All in due time. All in due time. Okay, the sons of the nobility. This guy is going to get us into a world of trouble. I can sense it now. It's true of real life. It's your friends that get you into, especially at school, that get you into trouble. You just want to do what you're doing, just want to be a good student. I'm studying. Your friends start to tempt you with all kinds of nonsense and go, let's go and do this, it's better. But don't do that. What are you doing that for, you little swat? And before you know it, you're bloody with the wrong crowd. And it's game over, and you're a commoner for the rest of your damn life. And so endeth the game. Anyway, right, I'm going to eat my dinner. Take myself off camera so you don't have to enjoy me chomping away and mute myself. But we will be back. It's a messy dinner, so it's not going to be a quick one. But I will be back at 5 past. Give myself 10 minutes. Round about 5 past the hour. Nab yourself a half-time refreshment. It's half-time in the football. It's half-time on the stream. Grab a drink, grab a snack, whatever you're going to do, and resume in 10 minutes where we will continue on with our adolescent journey. And yeah, this is a fantastic game. I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, see you all very shortly. Alrighty, folks. Alright, back again. Welcome back. Thank you kindly. Suitably refreshed. A bit stuffed actually. So it's the old chicken, quarter of a chicken. Quite filling. Right, anyway. Oh. Because I'm not used to big portions anymore, you see, with having the pancakes earlier as well on top. I can't say I've starved today, that's for certain. Right, okay, so here we are, Sons of the Nobility. And I'm sure you've all had an opportunity to read this screen, so I won't read it all out verbatim. IHOP. I've only been to IHOP once, and that was when I was on a cruise. I went to... I've been on many cruises, clearly. But when we went to... when we go to cruise from Miami or Fort... well, it's usually Fort Lauderdale we go from. We stay over sometimes in Fort Lauderdale, and sometimes the transfer takes us to Miami and we go to the Fort Lauderdale the next day. And we stayed over on this particular occasion in Miami, and rather than have the hotel breakfast, I was like, you know what, we're in Miami, we're in America. This was probably quite early on in our cruising experience. I was like, we've got to go out and have breakfast in America somewhere. Just standard fare hotel breakfast. Anyway, so we just ventured out. Clearly it was a while ago because my mum was a bit more mobile back then, and we just sort of scoured the area and found the nearest eatery, which was an IHOP, funnily enough. I was like, oh, that looks alright, and ended up having, I'm sure I ended up having some kind of pancakes with some kind of stuff on it. I don't know whether it was scrambled eggs, peanut, I think it was scrambled, I think I had, get this, scrambled eggs, bacon and peanut butter and chocolate all mixed together on the same pancake. I'm almost certain. Yeah, well, we were getting a cruise that morning. We didn't have all day to research where we were going, and as I said, it was quite early in our cruising, so you know, Google Maps wasn't quite as big back then. We're talking like late 2010, so like we're talking maybe 2008, 2009ish. So we just ventured out and see what we could find, and it filled a hole. What I was quite surprised at, actually, was, given that was my first real taste of, you know, having an American meal out in actual America for the first time, was actually I was having visions of the portion sizes being like massive, and they actually weren't. They were reasonable sized portions. I was like, I thought Americans had everything like super size, you know, old stereotypes here. And this is a normal size of pancakes. It wasn't a stack or anything, it was just a plate of pancakes with obviously quite a few little trimmings on it, but no bigger than a full English, for example. So I was like a bit surprised. And then I went to a McDonald's in America a few years later when we were getting off the ship for a day out. Because we did a back-to-back cruise, which meant we cruise the first half, you get off the ship, I think I mentioned this before, and rather than going straight back on again, we said we'll spend the day in Miami. Last time I told you about this, I spent the day in the Cheesecake Factory in Fort Lauderdale. But the first time we did that was we went to a mall in Miami. Got a taxi, took us to a mall. I was with a couple of mates and my mum, and we went around the mall, Macy's and all the stores, got some really cheap Levi's for like 30 quid, because the pound to the dollar was pretty decent back then. So I got a nice set of Levi's, and we said, you know what, we're going to go for lunch, what we're going to have. And I said, look, you can't be in America and not have a McDonald's, because I like to experience McDonald's in every country I visit, because I like all the different variations of food that you get, rather than just the simple stuff we get over here. You get different types of meals and burgers, like the Eggs Benedict burger that caught my eye when I was in Spain last time. And yeah, that was a big portion, because order a large, clearly. Large, please, meal. The burger, same size as over here. The fries and the drink, however, when they say a large drinking McDonald's in America, yes, it is literally like a 2-litre bottle. It was huge. Like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. I mean, I like my drink. And the best thing was did they do root beer? I don't think they did, actually. It might have been Dr. Pepper I had. I think I had Dr. Pepper. Or was it root? Did they do root beer in America in McDonald's? I don't think it was. They do. Oh, I must have had root beer then, because it's my favourite. I love root beer. It's my favourite soft drink. I like it even more than Coke. I would never have it in rum, but so it must have been root beer. I just remember this big picture-sized paper cup. I didn't know a paper cup could get so big. And bless my mother if she's watching this, because she'll be horrified that I'm telling you this, but the laughing stock of that entire experience was we ordered taxi to get us back to the ship, because we'd been shopping in the mall, got our bags full of goodies, had our McDonald's dinner, and we got into the taxi and we were about to drive off, and my mum screamed at the top of her lungs, "My teeth! I've left my teeth!" She'd left a set of her dentures on the tray. You know, the tray that you put into the bin? And she left it on the tray. Thankfully, the tray hadn't been put into the bin just yet, so she nabbed her teeth from the tray, which she'd obviously wrapped in tissue, so it was disguised with all the other rubbish. Hence why she forgot them. Oh God, she'd kill me if she was watching this now. So yeah, that was we continually laugh about that every so often at parties and stuff. Remember when you left your teeth behind in McDonald's and almost got thrown in the bin? Oh dear. Anyway, right. Let's get back to the grim reality that is the life and suffering of Sir Brante. Oh dear. Before I finish, I have also eaten out in Miami. When I went to on a cruise again with a second set of friends. Oh no, this was the same trip, because we went to the IHOP for breakfast, but the night before we went to Miami, the Miami Strip, there's like a main, well there's probably lots of, I don't know, is there lots of, Miami must be a big place, there must be lots of strips, but we went to this, we got into a taxi, my mum went to bed because it was late, and we're like, right, we want to go somewhere where it's buzzing, somewhere where it's, you know, a bit. So the taxi driver took us to this strip. Long Beach. Long Beach was there, all bars and restaurants, and it was, you know, quite lively. And I think I can't remember, we ordered something like a share a platter of some like onion rings, chicken wings, all that kind of stuff. And when it say share a platter, yeah, it was definitely a share a dustbin lid. That's what it was. Yeah, so that was the first introduction to American cuisine, and then we had the IHOP for breakfast the next day. Happy times. Now I want a holiday. I'm talking about holidays, and now I want a holiday. Right, and it's 4-2 to Real Madrid. Oh dear. Right. Anyway, back to the grim reality. Sons of the Nobility. We've read this, you've read this, you've had time to read this, but basically the school houses nobles of the mantle and low-born parents, and the children of the noblemen basically snub and bully the commoner children. There's a head honcho behind this called Diedrich, who is the son of the secretary for the Imperial Chancellery, but they never bother us because we have an ennobled father. So we get off a bit lightly. However, our friend Thomas probably won't, and we're going to have to help him out again, are we? Oh, I flipping... What did I just say? I knew it! I knew it was coming! Diedrich and his retinue soon choose Thomas as their favourite victim. Time and time again, you ask your friend not to pay them any mind, but again and again, Thomas grows angry and snaps at their self-satisfied mockery. It is early morning. The students are busy flocking to the classroom for the next lesson. You wave Thomas over when you see him. He waves back at you, and then a bucket full of slop splashes on him. Needless to say, it is the work of Diedrich and his entourage. You hear his familiar creaky laughter. The tailor's son stinks. How dare he sit next to decent folk? Thomas clenches his fists. You're dead, Diedrich! He throws himself at Diedrich's haughty entourage like a soldier ready to wage war. He attacks them first. This is just what they expected, and they are free to retaliate. He barely makes one movement before 4 pairs of hands grab him at once. Diedrich sneers and kicks your friend in the belly. Thomas gasps for air and starts coughing. You stand between them as Diedrich readies another kick. The nobleman's son cocks an eyebrow. Why do you mingle with commoners? He asks. Your father is a noble of the mantle. You ought to be friends with your own kind. Your equals, not the dirt beneath your feet. Behind him, 4 boys hold Thomas down as he struggles furiously. The other students are watching you, frozen in fear. Diedrich haughtily extends a hand to you. He clearly expects you to shake it. What will you do? Admonish the nobleman's sons, turn him over to the teachers, challenge him to a fight. Okay, the first instinct right now is to turn him over to the teachers. Leave it in the teachers' hands. Let's not take the law into our own hands here. Challenging him to a fight clearly is not a good idea. Admonish the nobleman's sons. Do we expect the teachers to do anything is the question. But I think it's the best. I think it's the best option. I think it's the option to take here. Remember when we went rushing for our father? At the same kind of situation. When our mother was having a frenzy. I mean, we're a bit older now. We could deal with this ourselves. Whereas when we were a bit younger, snatching the baby didn't make sense to me. But we could deal with this. But we're at school. We're here to study. We're already we're already not excelling because we've helped Thomas before. But we'll help him in a different way this time. Try to avoid trouble. Turn him over to the teachers, and hopefully they'll see sense and deal with this Diedrich fella and not cower because he's the son of the Chancellor of whoever he was. Anyway, shaking his hand would have increased our family's reputation, decreased our reputation with Thomas, increased our reputation with our father. We're going to take him over to teachers. Admonish the nobleman's son would have increased our spirituality and increased our relationship with Thomas. Challenging Diedrich to a fight would have increased our nobility and our relationship with Thomas. Turn him over to the teachers, I reckon, will increase our commoner status. What's it called? The ingenuity, and increase our relationship with Thomas. Yeah. Makes sense. This is probably somebody in the WhatsApp chat talking about the Liverpool match. Put that phone away, please. You fold your arms across your chest and declare that Diedrich and his followers will pay dearly for their insolence. Their parents may be nobles, but they are not yet nobles themselves. Here at school, we are all equals. Lentil, beetroot and bean curry with rice. I've never ever had beetroot in a curry. That would be a first for me. I love beetroot though, so I'm imagining it's quite delicious. Diedrich's entourage is about to swarm you too, but the teacher of imperial law comes into the room just in time. Everybody immediately returns to their seats. Once the lesson is over, you tell the teacher how Diedrich and his friends have been starting fights and picking on people. They are the children of nobles, yet not nobles themselves, which means they are guilty of defying their lot and encouraging other students to do the same. The law teacher furrows his brow when he hears this. He assembles all the students and admonishes them. Any student caught in defiance of his lot will no longer be welcome at the school. The twins are always watching over us all, and the school will not suffer the presence of troublemakers who defy their will. Woo. The nobleman's sons reluctantly agree. There is no good reason to risk picking on nobles when the punishment is so high. To say Diedrich is angry at you would be an understatement, but he can no longer hurt you or Thomas. The bullying stops. Ingenuity. I quite like ingenuity as a premise. Quick-witted and skillful. I like that kind of outlook. So yeah, it gets us out of trouble as a commoner. It enables us to survive without relying on noble status. Getting out of sticky spots. Okay. Here we are again. I don't like the title. I don't like this title. This is a sacred tree. Tell me we are not burning it to the ground. Your theology teachers tell you more about Anisot. It is more than just the provincial capital. It is also a sacred place blessed by the gods. It is where the twin gods' first disciples spilled their blood, and from that blood grew the sacred silver tree. Its enormous foliage hangs over the city. You see its branches in the sky every day, but you never have approached the tree trunk yourself. I like this particular piece of music. Today you will be taking your first trip to the Silver Tree. Who doesn't love a good field trip? I'm sure field trips aren't as good as they used to be now because health and safety. Health and safety is a good thing, by the way, but I think of some of the field trips that we went on as a child, and as a teenager even, and the things that we did, and it's like, that would not wash in today's times. For example, I think I mentioned this before, but going to Malham, down through Gordale Scar, you get to a waterfall. You can scramble up the waterfall without ropes. But it's wet, it could be slippy. I've done it many times. But we did it as a field trip in high school. Now, could you imagine in today's world saying to some kids in high school, right, there's a 20-foot waterfall, slippy and wet, no ropes, up you go, son. No, it would not happen. But it happened when I was in year 9. We all went over it, and I was petrified. I hate heights. But anyway, 5-2-300. Goodness me. Sorry, just took me back there to my field trip days. So we're taking our first field trip to the Silver Tree. Your class is visiting a service in the Great Temple by the tree's very roots. Thanks to your theology teacher, you and the other students will witness this landmark of the twins' advent up close. Everybody is excited. Soon, you and the other boys enter the slums surrounding the church district of Anisot. The roots are pulsating under your feet. They spread underground all throughout the area. Pathetic, cramped hovels and filthy streets surround the trunk of the tree. They are home to paupers, day labourers and preachers. The people of the district bow humbly to you and point you towards the temple. They seem at peace despite the abject poverty in which they live. All who live directly beneath the tree are filled with its divine grace, your teacher says. People come here to make peace with the world and their fate in it. Your class is unusually quiet. Everyone is listening to the rustling of the leaves and the underground beating of the roots. The sky above you is obscured by the tree's canopy. You find the temple of the twin gods right next to the tremendous trunk of the tree. It almost seems a part of it. There is a crowd there, pilgrims dressed in travelling clothes, paupers and beggars, common people of the city, and occasional well-dressed nobles. There are arguments among some people, who are gathered in separate small groups. Many people are wandering around, staring upward at the tree branches. The tree impresses you with its might and the calm emanating from it. You are filled with a desire to sit down and think of the world, to learn something about yourself, to touch the silver-white bark and hearken to the whispering leaves. You are distracted enough to fall back from the rest of your classmates. You notice a small path. It should take you right next to the trunk. Right, I've got a task. Sorry to deviate. Sorry to deviate from the game slightly. Discord server. I'm going to put a post up. I need 4. I'm going to. You know, like a good bit of tabletopping, right? We're going to start a tabletop campaign of BattleTech. Me and some former colleagues, friends that I play with, and I've got my 4 mechs ready that I've picked, and I need 4 pilot names and call signs as well. I'm assuming the call signs is like a little kind of nickname in the middle that they have, but I can come up with the call signs myself, but I need 4 pilot names, and I kind of wanted to base them off games or game characters or LP characters, and they have to have a first name and a surname as well. So when I put the post up, just need your help, folks, is all, because I can't come up with some names at the moment. So I need 4 pilot names for my BattleTech endeavours. Anyway, so put your thinking caps on, if you would. Anyway, so here we are at the temple, beneath a great whopping tree, pulsating roots, a calm kind of washing over us all. What could possibly go wrong on a school field trip right here? Let's find out. A tall, red-haired woman walks out of the crowd of pilgrims. She is wearing a worn white robe. She is no longer young, but her face is youthful and covered in freckles. Her hands clutch a book. You have never seen this lady pilgrim before, yet she looks at you almost as if she has recognised a lifelong friend. She beckons to you and says her name, Matilda, a preacher from Astinia. What she says next shakes you to your very core. It is commendable to see a young man so keen to learn the teachings of the twins, she says. Yet you will never follow the light of truth within the walls of the temple. Inside you will only find lies about the lots, the erring words of Prophet Isatius sanctified by the passage of centuries. Yet anyone who sets out to read the accounts of the twins' own lives know that they never so much as mention the lots. Okay. A heretic then, basically. She's from... hang on a second. She's from Astinia. So if we go to the map of the Empire, where's Astinia then? Is it anywhere on here? Oh, there you go. Astinia is the province, basically. Oh, did we not check this out the first time around? I don't think we did. The heart of the Empire is a province of bountiful harvests. The main stronghold of the New Faith, where commoners and nobles... Oh, then this is the place of the New Faith. So she's come from the New Faith place. Okay. Right, makes sense then. The red-haired preacher's words frighten you. They clash with everything you have heard from Mother, everything you have been taught at school. The lots are a lie? You freeze in fear. Should you argue with Matilda, or ask her for more information? Or should you treat her as a mad woman and catch up with your classmates? You suddenly feel a small, warm hand grasp your own. You see a girl right next to you. She is just a little older than you, wearing a black dress, threadbare yet almost spotless. Her hair is covered by a handkerchief with only a single golden lock showing. Her brown eyes are burning with rage, her hand pulling you away from the red-haired preacher. You stare in confusion at the strange young girl, your cheeks flushed by the sudden touch. There is just a bit of colour on her cheeks too, but then she starts speaking to you quickly. Jean. Don't listen to her. She's dangerous. Come to the temple with me. Only there will you see the truth. You stand there, surrounded by the crowd of praying pilgrims and the sounds of shuffling feet torn between two people you have never seen before. Each of them expects you to follow her, but all the while you hear the whispering of the wind in the tree branches. The branches reach out for you, almost as if the tree wishes to speak to you itself. Can you hear its voice? We can't give in to the epiphany, which is kind of... I would have maybe gone for this, actually, if we'd have had it as an option. Out of interest, more than anything. Follow the girl, stay with the red-haired pilgrim, leave them and approach the tree. No, do you know what? We're going to follow the girl into the temple. Not because we necessarily disagree or want to... be against the red-haired pilgrim, but she's just come up to us and started raving nonsense. It's given us a bit of a shock. It's given us a bit of a fright. We're kind of like, whoa, hang on a second, love. A bit crazy woman. It's like being shouted at in the street in real life. You know, some preacher, oh, no, oh, you're like, what the hell are you up to, mate? Oh, no, thank you, I'm off shopping. So we're supposed to be going on a field trip to the temple, so we're going to go into the temple anyway, and she's a girl with golden hair and nice black dress. And girls clearly get us into trouble in this game because we're going off with another one now. So we're going to follow the temple. So if we'd have stayed with the pilgrim, we'd have increased our spirituality and relations with Jean would have suffered. We could have left and gone to the tree, which gives us willpower, but now we're going to use willpower and see what the options are. Increase relationship with Jean and maybe an increase to one of our other stats, perhaps. Hopefully not death. You turn your back on the suspicious preacher and follow the girl inside. She introduces herself to you along the way. Her name is Jean. The temple is filled with light. It is separated into two halves, just like the temple in your district, one for the commoners and one for the nobles. Yet this temple is far more grand than that one. You see two towering statues by the altar, carved with impeccable detail. They depict the twins. The elder bears an empathetic smile, and the younger has a stern look about him. They are depicted in the garments of pilgrims, frozen in their eternal journey to meet one another. My uncle is one of the priests in this temple. I'm an acolyte. I work in the temple. I help him clean the temple, cook the food for the poor, and I also come and greet the worshippers. People come here all the time. Many are lost and they don't know where to go once they're inside, but nobody should feel lost in this place. The temple is for all the estates. Jean's face is no longer angry. The red-haired preacher is long forgotten. She is like a warm ray of light under the roof of the grand, bright temple. You ask her a question. Is she happy in her service to the twins? Of course I am. This is where I belong, inside the temple. I feel the twins watching over me all the time. When I'm with them, I'm never afraid, never sad. She looks at the statues when she mentions the twins and smiles at them as if they are her close friends. Do you feel it too? You too turn your eyes to face the twin gods. You feel the eyes of the elder upon you. They feel warm. Warm like mother's loving words. You feel virtue and order in the eyes of the younger. They feel like father's words of pride and respect. I knew it! I knew you could feel it! It's so easy when you're in the temple, but they watch over us all the time, you know. Just pray from your heart and remember how it feels all the time, even back home, even on a long, long journey. Jean's voice is clear and insistent. As you listen to her, you just barely touch the palm of your hand that held hers a moment ago. Maybe it's just a delusion, but that hand feels warmer now. You keep looking back at the tree all the way home, but it is not the tree you see. You see Jean's brown eyes filled with inscrutable wisdom. Acquainted with Jean, by the will of the twins, you were destined to meet. Willpower increased. Oh no, decreased because we used it to walk into the temple. Matters of the Heart event has happened. We were touched by Jean. You experience your first romantic feeling. This is not our first romantic. Our first romantic feeling was Sophia. But she never touched us. And we were a bit younger then. We were probably confused. The shadow of the past. Another school day has ended. You are making your way home, still mulling over the things you learned from your teachers. The founding of the empire, the eternal and unshakable rule of a single dynasty, the 3 estates, each with its own rights. One odd sort of order the world has, and yet so mysterious. At least it sounds that way when your teachers talk about it. Mother is waiting for you on the porch. She smiles gently when she sees you, and yet her expression still shows great concern. Father left on a trip to several distant Magran towns a few days ago. Since then, Mother has been trying to tell you something, but she seems uncertain. Son, could you put your things away and come pray with me? You join Mother in a prayer to the twins. She prays with fervent sincerity, her head bowed low, reciting the words of obedience to them and their greater design in a barely audible whisper. You repeat after her, just as she has taught you, ever since you were a little boy. When the prayer ends, Mother sighs and turns to you. Benedict, my son, you are 13 now. You'll be grown soon. It's time you learned about certain things that are important to our family. Difficult things. It's about your father and me, about our marriage. You gaze curiously into Mother's eyes. I'm sure you've wondered about this before. Your father is a nobleman of the mantle, so how could he marry a commoner with another man's child? But you see, Benedict, your father, when his first wife, Amalia Elborn, died, it was a painful blow to him. He lost the will to live, lost all purpose. He felt like his own destiny was cut short that day as well. And then he met me. You know, the troubles I had in the past. I went to the prefecture as a petitioner to ask them for help, protection, justice. When I was a young girl, I walked at a small shop that sold crockery and dishes. A nobleman took a liking to me. May his name be forever forgotten. The twins know I was humbled and honoured his lot to rule, but he took me by force. Oh, Mother falls silent, summoning the courage to continue. Gloria is that nobleman's daughter, but he was outraged. How could I have the gall to burden him with low-born progeny? He turned me out on the streets with that little baby girl in my arms. Mother's voice is shaking now. You take her hand tenderly. I had no home, no honour, nowhere to go, no one to help me. When I went to the prefecture, I didn't really think the judges there would help me find justice against my former master. But when Sir Robert heard my plea, his eyes met mine, And I believe that at that very moment the twins themselves granted him the gift of their love. Your father told me that there was nothing he could do to make that detestable nobleman marry me, but he would never abandon me and baby Gloria. And if I agreed, he would take me into his own home. Tears are running down Mother's cheeks. And I knew it, my son. I knew how much his honour and reputation would suffer, but caring for me brought him back to life. It's like he experienced another sacrament. He rediscovered his noble purpose, his lot to rule and protect and care for others. But his decision to marry me, he's still paying for it today. Your father had the courage to defy your grandfather, the founder of his bloodline. If only you knew how much he had to endure, my son. If only you knew the despicable rumours we heard about the Brantes all over Anisot. It was only thanks to the efforts of Sir Gregor that the Brante bloodline has managed to hang on to what little remained of its reputation. And now the noble families have all but forgotten about that scandal, thank the twins. Mother falls silent. She looks at you intently. Do you understand what she is telling you? My son, I'm not telling you this just to share the pain of my past. I have no reason to complain. Even Sir Gregor has accepted me through gritted teeth. But you need to understand the heavy burden our family must bear, including our scandalous marriage and Gloria's foul origin. And Gloria, she can never be a Brante. Even if the elder Brantes agreed, the news would stir up the old scandal in the minds of high society. And if that were to happen, Benedict, they would see even your birth as illegitimate. What I told you just now is something you have to know, son. You are about to enter adult life. By my lot, I must be humble. I cannot tell you how to treat your family, but may I ask you a question? Now that you know all of this, do you still see Gloria as your sister? Do I, Hella's like? She can go to her. Of course we do, you fool, mother. What's wrong with you? No brainer. I'm not even checking the other options. Out of disgust. Filled with determination, you assure Mother that Gloria is and always will be your sister. You want Gloria to be a Brante too. You want her to be part of your family. Who cares what the nobles of Anisot say? Mother beams with quiet joy when she hears this. Oh, Benedict, if only you knew how happy that would make me, to have our family united at last. However, the joy on her face quickly gives way to concern. But I already owe good Sir Robert a debt I can never repay. He's given my daughter so much, a home and education, his care and advice. The Brante bloodline could suffer so much from Gloria's existence. We should all just learn to accept her status as it is. Just then, you hear Gloria carefully knock at the door of Mother's chambers. Mother? Benedict? I couldn't find you. You happily greet your sister. Yes, she is your sister. No old secrets can ever change that. Mother gives you and Gloria a kiss on the forehead and returns to her prayers. Oh, affection. You and your sister walk downstairs together. Mother is alone by her bedside now, thanking the twins with a quiet prayer for the Brante family they have given her. You hope they can hear her. Oh, and Mother too. Oh. My big sister. Right, the fall of 1131. The flash and the flame. You are 13 now, a man grown. I'm a teenager now. I know it all. Another theology lesson. Today's sermon is about the priests and why the clergy is the only one of the three estates with the right to interpret the lots and guide the other two estates accordingly. Now there's an interesting concept. I was going to be so dismissive of becoming a priest, but the right to interpret the lots and guide the other two estates? That's quite a lot of power, quite a lot of influence. Thomas sits next to you, huffing and puffing as he fervently writes down the teacher's every word. Oh, I want to become a rogue priest now. I want to become a rogue priest. But you've heard all this from Mother many times before, so you take this moment to daydream a little. Father promised to take you to the capital once your studies are complete. But the teacher suddenly casts a stern look around the lecture hall and raises his voice at one of your classmates. A boy by the name of Brian jumps out of his seat. The teacher asks him to repeat what he had just said. Brian freezes and seems to shrink. He tries to muster a reply, but nothing comes out. The class becomes agitated. Someone is about to get punished. The teacher now looms over Brian. The boy's cheeks are flushed and his eyes are covered in tears. You all watch the teacher's iron-bound book as he raises it sharply, about to strike. Brian shrieks and raises a hand in front of him. A sudden flash. The teacher screams and buries his face in his arms. His hair is ablaze and his skin is covered in horrible burns. It's magic. Real magic, just like in the books about the Magra Rebellion. The class freezes in shock. There is a dull thud as the iron-bound book falls to the floor. Brian's hysterical laughter rends the silence. He stands up from his bench, fire in his eyes and sparks on his fingertips. There are screams now. Students run for the door. The teacher tries to extinguish his burning hair. Brian snaps his fingers and the books of Isatius on the desks turn into pillars of flame. He laughs and raises his arms, and the curtains catch fire. The screams grow louder as the fire howls. Brian's face is tense and violent. His mouth is spewing flames, and his whole body is shaking with laughter. He steps toward the door. You and Thomas glance at each other. He's going to burn the whole skull down. Your friend's determination makes you brave. You run behind Brian and knock him off his feet. You both tumble to the floor. Even through his clothes, his body sears your flesh. Brian screams, convulses, and grabs Thomas by the shoulders with his burning hands. Thomas howls but stays put, then knocks Brian senseless with several fierce blows to the head. There are servants fussing around the room now. They put out the fire and take away the teacher, his body covered in horrible burns. You and Thomas remain next to Brian, who is lying on the floor silent. Soon, 3 men in black cloaks enter the doors of the school, each bearing an edict sealed with silver. The Inquisition. You and Thomas are told to step away from the witch. They lock Brian's neck in a silver collar and take him away. One of the Inquisitors remains behind to tell the students what happened. That was magic, he explains. The ungodly power that twists the minds of men into savage instruments of murder. Only the sacred shackles of silver can hold it at bay. Only the power of the twins can save us all from its evil grasp. The next day, you are forbidden from ever mentioning Brian's name again. He is no more. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition, the Inquire. I didn't expect to have a bloody magic wielder in the middle of the class. Okay, so we have got a maximum affection relationship with Thomas now too. The nobleman's lot. Ooh. A great day looms ahead. 100 years ago, Uther Tempest was anointed to rule over the empire. Blessed by the twins themselves, the emperor's reign continues into its 2nd century. Celebrations in honour of the Tempest dynasty are held throughout the city, and the school is closed for 2 weeks because of that. Okay, so relations. A relations check-in. So Thomas. Okay, we didn't get the blurb before. So he lives on the same street. Born to a family of humble artisans. He wants to change his lot. He wants to get a military education. And he wants to earn the right to a sword. And intends to join the Imperial Legion. Now, this was our initial plan. Although now I'm really seriously considering becoming a priest. We'll see how the story develops. This is Sophia, who I reckon we're going to see again. We can't save her life and die and her just never come again into the story. I reckon she's coming somewhere else. Augustin Elborn, kind of uncle. Not directly uncle because it's the mother's brother of Stephen, but, you know, technically speaking, you know, kind of like an uncle. Supreme Judge or Prefect of the Magra Province and a family friend. He became Prefect by virtue of his unimpeachable service and reputation. He advocates for greater liberties and rights for the common estate. Indifferent at the moment. Octavia, the whose hanky we hold dear, has probably lost it by now. She's a young daughter of the Archduke of the Magra Province. She's Arknian, and we'll never forget the first time we met her. And then we've got little Jeannie, who touched our hand. Status acquainted. So she's got a status. Nobody else has got a status. Okay, but she's a zealous adherent of the old faith. Interesting. Maybe she'll convince us to become a priest. Okay. So we've got two Ellen, whose name? Oh, his name? Yeah, Elborn, the old honorific title. And Stephen's mother had the same title, right? She was called El something. Amalia Elborn, yeah. Anyway, what I noticed here is that 100 years ago, Uther Tempest was anointed to rule over the Empire, and the Emperor's reign continues, not the Empire. So the Emperor is like over 100 years old. I wonder how old. I'm assuming he's Arknian, the Emperor. Uther Tempest? Must be. I wonder how long they live. On one of these evenings, Father tells everyone that Grandfather is going to bring Stephen back home for the holiday. They say families should celebrate the day of anointment together. They also glow blue, you know. Oh, Grandfather and Stephen are coming back again. Happy days. Okay. You could benefit from your elder brother's company. With his noble education, Stephen might be able to teach you how noblemen are supposed to act. Really? You believe that still, Benedict? Your brother is a fool. Soon, with the face you want to slap, Stephen arrives. He now handles himself differently. When it comes to ordering servants around and ignoring Gloria, he is still Grandfather's double, but he is more grown up now and far less haughty to you. Yes, because we're studying to be a noble, that's why. It is a dark winter evening. A damp, cold wind sweeps through the city from the barren lands of Magra. You and Stephen are sitting in the library. He is telling you about Eterna, the capital of the Empire. It is full of so many wonders. The Imperial Palace, the enormous Temple of the Twins, the Military Academy, the Imperial College. You have read so much about these places, yet he has seen them firsthand. Nathan enters the library. He looks concerned. I can't find Gloria. I looked everywhere. She's not in the attic, not in the sitting room, not in the kitchen. I heard she wanted to sneak off to the ruins of Charmiandia's palace. She could be lost in there. You and Stephen exchange looks. Char Milanidas, the rebellious duke, the ruins of his palace are a dangerous place. Some children claim his tainted magic still lingers there, which means you absolutely have to make your way there and back again to prove you are not afraid of the long-dead witch. Your brother tells you to wait. He leaves and soon returns with his sword in its sheath. Good grief, adventure! Which leads to death, clearly. Get ready, Benedict. We're going to rescue Gloria. She must have gone to the ruins in search of inspiration for another one of her little rhymes. The two of you instruct Nathan to tell your parents you've gone for a walk in the square. You and your elder brother head outside. You are confused by Stephen's actions. He refuses to treat Gloria like a human being, so why is he still determined to rescue her? Stephen notices your expression. Are you wondering why I care about Gloria all of a sudden? I can't act in any other way, can I? The law of honour compels me to protect my family. Gloria will never be a Brante, but father still took her into our house. I must respect his seniority and defend Gloria like she is one of our own. You are a Brante too, noble or not, which means it is your duty to aid me. Hello, Harrison. Oh, a pleasure, and welcome. Good to see you. The ruins of Char Milanidas' palace span an entire district. The palace was abandoned centuries ago, and its remnants are overgrown with thick underbrush. The ruined palace is empty, nothing but cold wind blowing over crumbling brickwork. Even the worst scum of the land steer clear of this palace. You make your way through the ruins until you spot scattered sheets of paper covered in writing. Your sister's writing. You hear loud laughter coming from behind a dilapidated stone wall nearby. You pull yourself up to peer over it. Gloria is lying on the ground, face down, twitching and sobbing. A gaggle of drunk young thugs surround her, cackling and swinging their arms about. You hear their shouts. Look at the lass sitting here rhyming words together. She thinks she's all noble. But don't you worry, you low-born tart. We're going to teach you your place. One of the louts spits at Gloria as she lies there. Get away from her this instant, you bastards, or I'll spill your guts. They respond with mocking laughter. Stephen draws his sword. The street thugs recoil in fear, but they soon notice that he is only the one-armed man against many. They start reaching out for sticks and stones. Really? You idiots, really? Stay by my side. Don't let them flank me. Stephen's hand shakes, but he looks ready for battle. He's outnumbered. For a moment you hesitate. Perhaps it might be better to run for the nearby district to call for guards. The young thugs are already armed with makeshift weapons. They start approaching you, and Stephen cautiously. Right, we could follow our brother's orders and do as we're told, as his aide, or we can fight for... Gloria's our sister, she's been spat at, they were going to do something really horrific to her. Blood is boiling, the red mist is rising, the rage is bubbling in our heads. I can almost picturing us pushing aside Stephen and getting straight into the battle, no messing about. The louts try to flank Stephen and surround him. Your brother's sword thrusts and feints methodically like a training bout. The thugs keep dodging and jumping away. They've managed to stay safe so far. If things continue like this, soon one of them will flank Stephen, kick the sword out of his hand and bring him down. The ruffians are paying no attention to you, however. For a moment, you want nothing more than to run away. You belong to the common lot. You're not allowed to bear arms, not allowed to fight. But then you take one more look at Stephen, who is almost surrounded, at Gloria, sprawled out on the ground. I can't act in any other way, can I? Your brother's words ring in your ears. You cannot run. You have to help him, no matter what. You pull a heavy rock out of the old wall. The tow-headed leader of the gang appears behind Stephen's back, ready to knock him down. No time to think. It takes you 3 steps to get to the foe. No time to think. You bash the thug in the head with a rock. The wretch tumbles and falls down. Stephen seizes an opportunity to strike and lunges at the louts. They scatter under his blows. You hear screams and the swishing of the sword. You assault them too, swinging away with this heavy rock, until you catch something pointy in the side. No! No, please! A wave of pain washes over you. Blood starts flowing down your side and onto your leg. Stephen shouts something, but your mind is already fading fast. We're not dead. Oh, we're not dead. When the darkness disperses, you find yourself lying in your bed. Stephen is in the armchair next to you reading a book. He is alive, with left arm in a sling and a black eye, but still alive. As for you, it hurts so much when you try to breathe. You cannot help but moan quietly. Stephen looks up from the book. Don't try to get up, you lost a lot of blood. Fortunately, the Archduke's guards got there too late to see you swinging that boulder around. They'd have shown you no mercy otherwise. But I'm impressed, Benedict. You were unarmed, but you still fought them. You acted in defiance of your lot, that much is certain, but you fought for our family's honour. You know, brother, the nobleman's lot is also a great burden that few are able to bear. It takes courage, not to fight everything you see, but to do your duty. Each and every decision a nobleman makes becomes a part of his family's legacy, flowing in the blood tide forever. I think about it often. A noble mustn't act weak, a noble mustn't suffer like people of the low-born lot, a noble must rule over them wisely. A noble must ensure that they have work to do. It's not merely your own lot you have to look after. You have to ensure that 1,000 others can live by their lot as well. And there are so many more matters to take care of. Honour, dignity, tradition. It's tough, but what it takes to be a nobleman. Do you understand what I'm talking about? For the first time in a long while, your brother looks at you as an equal. It was a pleasure to fight side by side. I'm glad you and I are brothers. Status. Stephen treats you as usual. Woohoo! Phew! I thought we were dead again. Overzealous and got stabbed by her own brother. Could you imagine? Oh my god. I'd have turned the game off. I was like, there's no way we're finishing it now. Can't do right for doing wrong. But no. We have increased our relationship with our brother. Right. We're off again. Ah, well. We weren't up for taking orders. The red mist had overtaken us. Trial of the assailants. Before long, the entire city hears how a gang of low-born thugs assaulted Stephen Brante. Grandfather ensures that the brash young men are found. Some of them are taken into custody as soon as lesser death releases them. Grandfather seeks vengeance on those who hurt his favourite grandson. Prefect Elborn, a friend of your family, promises to personally oversee the trial and ensure that justice is served. Oh, so this is a trial of the people that was involved in that little tete-a-tete. Stephen and Grandfather decide to stay in Anisot until the trial ends. Grandfather demands true death for every single assailant. You ask Father to explain something. How can a legal court sentence criminals to true death? How can worldly judgment overrule the twins' law? Your words are true, my son. Their law is second to none. Yet the twin gods also made the empire and all its ways. The court of law exists to execute the laws of heaven here in the world. Should the court of law sentence a person to death, the law high above will always enforce it. And so every execution brings true death. The commoners who assaulted Stephen are born noblemen. The commoners who assaulted Stephen are born noblemen, have committed a grave offence. There is no doubt about that. And yet, according to the Emperor's decree, even commoners have the right to defend themselves when they are about to face true death. This means that all of us will have to appear at the trial and testify before the court. Evening comes. Gloria visits your room. She looks crestfallen, and her fingers keep reaching for her long hair. You put away your school books and ask what is bothering her. The trial is tomorrow. I thought I was going to appear there too, as an eyewitness. After all, this whole mess started because of me. But Sir Robert isn't even going to mention that I was there. Can you imagine? He says it would ruin the case. Why am I always in the way? Nobody ever mentions me. Nobody has to listen to me. It's like I don't even exist. And I thought Stephen standing up for me finally meant something. Maybe I will become part of the family, but no, everything is back to usual now. Gloria tries her best to hold back the tears. You do your best to comfort her. Father just needs to keep the family out of trouble. If Sir Robert believes that I only bring trouble, why did he take me into the house at all? Gloria runs away. You return to your books, but you can't help but get lost in thought. What if they told the court you weren't there either? How would you feel then? There is a knock at the door. It is Father. He closes the door behind him and sits next to you. There is an exhausted look about him. Son, you will be testifying before the court tomorrow. Please remember what I'm about to tell you. Gloria wasn't at the ruins at all. You went there with your brother to inspect this historic site. The low-born men insulted Stephen first and then attacked him. Stephen had managed to deal with the assailants on his own by the time the guards intervened. Gloria will cast suspicion on the case. If we mention her very existence to the court, the reputation of the family will suffer. Your grandfather will never forgive me if that happens. Do not let me down. We are all counting on you. Oh, God. You recall the night of the fight like it was a moment ago. Gloria sprawled under the feet of those cackling thugs, her poetry, her greatest treasure, scattered on the ground. She thinks she's all noble. Those were the words they spat down at her. But doesn't grandfather mean the same thing when he denies that she is part of the family? But if you do what father tells you, the trial will end quickly. Those commoners will face true death for assaulting a noble. If you mention Gloria, things will get complicated and you cannot predict how the trial will end. Which is more important to you? What is right or what is just? Oh, okay. Convince father to change his mind. Now that's an interesting one because that means that we get his blessing. I like that option. I'd feel much more comfortable with father's blessing. So that's what we're going to do. You look father straight in the eye and tell him what you think. You are not going to bear false witness in court. He is a judge himself. How can he make you lie to Sir Elborn? And what of Gloria? Is she not a Brante too? Does she not deserve justice? Or maybe grandfather is right and she is just a freeloader who deserves nothing but shame. If so, then how come father agreed to take her into his home and under his protection? Saying this to father is tough. Deep inside you pray he hears no weakness in your voice and sees no blood rushing to your cheeks, but it seems he is listening to you intently. The wrinkles on his forehead grow deeper as his fingers stammer out a staccato against the armrest. This is going to be tough, son, but you're right. All right. I took Gloria into my home, and so I must protect her like my own daughter. This was my decision, and I must stand by it. I will speak with Stephen in the morning. Now, I pray your grandfather never hears of my change of heart. Order! Order in the court! The day comes. The trial takes place in the lesser hall of the city prefecture. Sir Elborn himself presides as the judge. You are the first to testify to the court. To be fair, Sir Elborn is a commoner sympathiser, so this should be fine. You tell the court the truth about that night. How the thugs humiliated Gloria. How Stephen and you came to help her. How Stephen defended his half-sister. Out of the corner of your eye, you watch grandfather's face grow red, yet he remains silent. There are confused whispers in the hall. The commoners on trial cry out, "It's the truth!" Gloria is reciting poetry, and they simply told her she was defying her lot. The situation has changed. By this account, Stephen was not acting in defence of himself or another. He merely assaulted them first in order to retaliate against those who had insulted his half-sister. You spread your feet to stand firm and inhale before you speak next. You ask the hall, is it not a nobleman's duty to honour his family name? Gloria does not have the Brante name, but your father took her into his home. Therefore it was Stephen's duty to protect her, as he would have protected any of you. Contemptuous chuckles rush through the courtroom. You have just reminded the city of father's shameful second marriage. Oh, God. Stephen is to testify next. He reluctantly confirms your testimony, glancing at father and grandfather all the while. His arm in the sling is his main argument. Stephen wanted the commoners to stop insulting Gloria, yet in the end the commoners were the first to assault him. After a short recess, Sir Elborn returns and rises to deliver his sentence. Guilty, clearly! The court of Anisot finds you guilty of assaulting Stephen L. Brante, a nobleman. Stephen L. Brante, of course now, who stood in defence of the honour of Gloria, a member of his household. All four defendants are sentenced to true death by hanging. There is no wind, but you feel a gust sweep through the hall. The defendants turn pale, their mothers are bawling and crying. Everybody in the court feels the dreadful power of the law, and it is stern and just. That very power has been invoked by this sentence, and by that very sentence the lives of the four young men are literally forfeit for all eternity. The gallows await. Stephen stands in the front row, father stands next to him. The wood creaks, the trapdoors open under the young men's feet. They dangle in the air, wheezing and reaching out for supports with their feet in their final moments. Grandfather's silence ends at home. He screams at you and father, at Stephen and Gloria. This trial is a disgrace. His screams are punctuated by the thudding of his walking stick on the floor. Gonna have a heart attack in a minute. Father says they had to defend their family. It would have been truly a disgrace if they had shirked their responsibilities. Stephen excuses himself to bandage his arm in order to stay out of the argument. Gloria is quiet but glowing. You stay quiet too. It is all over now. Nobody bullies Gloria on the streets anymore. Those four commoners are dead forever. Their families were taught a cruel lesson, so it will be with anyone who dares to raise his hand against a nobleman. Well, we've not indeed ourselves to our grandfather, have we? Oh, reputation, tarnished honour. Oh, but we've increased the unity. Ooh, we're going to be downtrodden and everything. Oh boy. Grandfather's going to have a bloody heart attack here. Be careful about stats getting too low. Okay, it's tarnished. We're not disgraced just yet. But we've got honourable, we've got spirituality 2, and we've used 1 willpower. Okay, we're now age 14. Agony. Stephen leaves soon after the trial. Alone. Grandfather does not go with him. For the first time in a long while, he lingers in the house for more than a fortnight. Father says Sir Gregor is ill and needs rest. Several months go by and it becomes clear that Grandfather will not recover. Oh dear. The eldest Brante is mostly bedridden now. On some days he has trouble recognising people. When he means to address you or Nathan, he calls you Robert. But when he does get out of bed, the house grows empty. The servants hide. Mother locks herself in her chambers. You and Nathan run outside or hide quietly in your rooms. If Grandfather sees anyone in the hallway, he begins lamenting. Oh, nobody heeds the lots any longer. Any harlot with a child can marry a nobleman these days. Children have no respect. His son betrayed him and let him down. And oh, how the Brante family has lost its honour. Again and again, you hear Grandfather knocking at Mother's door, screaming that it is all her fault. He blames her for ruining his chances to find bliss in the hereafter. He blames her for dooming him to suffer at the foot of the pillar. You overhear your parents talking one night. Mother begs Father to move Sir Gregor to his old home and spare the children his decline. Father refuses her outright. Look at the state of him. It's late at night. The hot, dry winds are coming. The house is empty save for you, Nathan, Gloria, Mother and Grandfather in his bed. Father has left for the capital on business. You are engrossed in the history of the Empire, snapping out of your reverie only when the clock strikes midnight. You blow out the candle and get ready for bed. You hear the shuffling of heavy feet outside your door. You see light in the hallway. Grandfather, what could he want in the middle of the night? You peek into the hallway once he is past. Grandfather's figure sways as he heads for the door to Mother's chambers. He opens the door and walks in. You hear him saying something quietly. Your unease is stronger than your fear now. You sneak closer to hear his words. You foul commoner, I have to cleanse my sins. I have to save my soul. You are my greatest sin, and you and what you have done to Robert and this family. I should have put a stop to this marriage. I should have stopped Robert from tainting this house by your presence. Why, oh why didn't I do it? Please, Sir Brante, I beg of you. Silence! You will do my bidding. Fire will cleanse all low-born filth from this place. Fire and flame will free Robert from this disgrace. This is for my son's sake, for my sake. I need to eradicate this low-born filth. The twins, they are calling for me now. I can feel it. I can feel it. I beg of you, please, have mercy. Mother begins to cry. You run into the room, unable to stay out of this any longer. Grandfather's gaunt figure looms over Mother's bed, and lit oil lamp in his hand. Mother is sprawled out on the bed, crying. Please, just let me warn the children. I beg of you, Sir Brante. Your steps are loud enough to be heard. Grandfather turns to look at you. Stay out of this, Benedict. Be useful for once. Worldly matters concern me no longer. I see only my sins now, and a sinner I am. A sinner. The twins, they forgive no one. They will judge me by the pillar. I must do something. I don't want to suffer for all eternity. Go away. Mother is crying. Grandfather is still looming over the bed. Driven to madness, his hand shakes as it clutches the oil lamp. His eyes shine in the dark. He truly believes that this has to be done. You are suddenly torn. What if he is right? What if that is the only way for his soul to find salvation? Get out of town. We're stopping this charade. More willpower use. We can't save our brother and sister and let our mother burn. I don't think so. You look at grandfather defiantly and step towards him. He stares you down with rage and throws the oil lamp at the floor. You manage to catch it, but just barely. Several drops of hot oil hit the rug. Not nearly enough to start a fire. The lamp's glass is blistering hot. It burns your hands, but you still hold on to it safely. You low-born scum! You ruined everything! You're every bit like your mother. You! Enraged, he takes a swing, and you squeeze your eyes shut. But he does not hit you. Instead, there is a deep exhalation. You peek at him with one eye, just in time to see him collapse, all his strength fading away. His chest is heaving, his face a grimace of contempt. Another heavy exhalation. The contempt is gone. There is only fear now. Grandfather's eyes open wide, almost in surprise. He exhales. His eyes grow dim. Mother is there, whispering a prayer. She is shaking violently. You put the oil lamp gently on the bedside table and call for the servants. They carry the body away. He does not disappear. True death has found him. He will never return. You spend the rest of the night with Mother in the sitting room. She will not let go of your hand. For many, many nights afterward, she keeps seeing Grandfather's shadow out of the corner of her eye. True death, goodbye. Father returns from a turn in the morning after. He is unusually composed as he arranges for the funeral. The house becomes quiet. Not the looming, heavy sort of quiet of the past few months, but the calm relief you all feel now that the crazed old man is no more. At last, Gregor Brante, their family's patriarch, has departed for the hereafter. Good riddance indeed. We've lost willpower, but we've gained honour, we've gained ingenuity. Grandfather's demise. Last respects. The night of Grandfather's death shook your family to the core. Yet no matter how it happened, your grandfather, Gregor Brante, is dead and will never return. He was a fearful shadow looming over the rest of the family, the Brante patriarch exerting his influence on all the lives below him, and all of you will remember him forever. Father is the new patriarch of the family now, yet he still cannot bring himself to sit at the head of the table where Sir Gregor used to preside. Stephen locks himself away in Grandfather's bedroom every day. He will not talk to anyone. Gloria and Nathan still jump out every sound that so much as resembles the knocking of his walking stick. Mother spends all day in prayer at the temple. And yet the house has become calm and quiet with his passing. But there is one more thing that must be done. The final farewell. It weighs heavily upon your soul. The day comes to pay your final respects. Father goes to the tomb alone, save for Stephen, Nathan and you. Mother and Gloria stay at home. Only nobles or those who may become nobles may join this ritual. There is a solemn silence as you walk to the crypt. Father is the one who breaks this silence when you finally reach the door of the family crypt. Your grandfather built this crypt, and now he will be the first Brante to remain here in body forever. The first ever noble in our family. It is our duty now to hold the sacrament of flowing blood for Sir Gregor. We will honour his legacy and join him as the founder of the noble Brante dynasty. Stephen perks up at his father's words. His hands still clutch Grandfather's sword. Tradition decrees that it must remain in the niche above the owner's sarcophagus. Nathan, on the other hand, looks even more frightened now. Stairs carved of white stone lead you downward. Deep in the gloom of the crypt atop a pedestal, you see the sarcophagus that holds Grandfather's body. Father takes a moment to compose himself before paying his final respects. Gregor Brante, my father, brought our family into nobility through his unshakable will. He was a judge and a loyal servant to the Empire. He lived his life as if he had been born a noble, and he never strayed from the path he had chosen. He sought to make the Bronte family ennobled by the sword, so that our children's children might be of noble birth. The twins know I abided by my father's words all my life, even if I could not obey him every time. Father lets off a bitter chuckle as he says this. Stephen glares at Father, then turns to glare at Nathan and you. After all, the two of you were born of Father's shameful decision to marry a commoner. All of you remember his disastrous passing. He did not die the true death he deserved, yet we all must know that he fought for the future he believed in to the very end. And he will be proud to see his family bid him farewell with this sacrament of the nobility. Stephen still glares at Father sullenly. His fingers remain clutched around Grandfather's sword. Nathan barely pays attention to the words. He looks around with unease, his arms folded across his chest. Father reaches into his jacket and pulls out a slender dagger, thin and sharp. He takes off his gloves. Watch me carefully, my sons. Make a small cut on the palm of your hand and let your blood flow into this duct on the wall of the crypt. It will join your grandfather's blood here and flow forever. Then ancestor and progeny will become as one. We shall enter our family's blood tide and receive grandfather's final blessing, for his blood flows first in our blood tide. He will respond to you. You are part of him, and he is part of you. With a quick motion, Father slices his hand and holds the bleeding cut above a small opening in the wall. Then he hands the dagger to Stephen. Stephen cuts his hand without hesitation and does as Father did. You receive the dagger next. See you later, Hauler. The dagger's handle feels warm. You hesitate for a moment as you look at the palm of your hand. If you participate in this ritual, you will enter the Brante blood tide. You, a low-born child, a child who is still a commoner. Are you ready to claim? Oh, no! Oh, so we have to be noble. We could ask for our grandfather's blessing to do it without being a noble. Wow. Okay. The noble sacrament kissed the sword. Ah, so if you'd have kissed the sword, consequences and all that. I like it. Okay, well, we have no choice. We have to give the dagger back. We refuse to participate in the ritual. You return the dagger to Father and say you cannot participate in the ritual. You are a commoner, and your back bears the mark of the lash. Grandfather would never have let you honour his name as a nobleman. Nathan nods in agreement. You do not deserve this honour. Father furrows his brow and shakes his head. Stephen, help me close the lid of the sarcophagus, and remember to ask for Grandfather for his blessing. And as for you two, it seems you weren't ready to walk the nobleman's path after all. You're right, son. Your grandfather would never have allowed it. The lid of the sarcophagus falls into place with a heavy, resonant thud. Then suddenly you all freeze as each of you hears your late grandfather speak to you. His voice is loud as it rings in the depths of the crypt, and yet he speaks to each of you separately. weakling. I knew you never had it in you to rise above your meagre birth, Benedict. You have not a drop of nobility in you, and your pathetic little brother is the same. You are a taint upon my flesh and blood. Begone from my crypt. Your legs carry you out of the crypt of their own accord. Out, out, out of that stuffy crypt. You can finally breathe again. You hear slow footsteps behind you. You turn around and meet Nathan's gaze. You did the right thing. If it weren't for you, I'd have done what Father told us. Grandfather said I should stay away from his legacy, said it'll do me no good if I try to follow in his footsteps. How's that for words of guidance, eh? Nathan sighs as he embraces you. Father and Stephen leave the crypt much later and walk to the carriage without a word. You and Nathan humbly follow behind them. Increase with Nathan, decrease with Father in terms of relations. More willpower gained. And the poets. This event is a consequence of your previous actions. Ooh. Right, this is going to be the final part of this session. I know we're quite near the end of the chapter, but my voice is beginning to feel sore. Or should I say my throat rather than my voice? Okay, so we'll enjoy this one because this has been unlocked because of some previous stuff. Sounds a bit more upbeat. Maybe we'll have some pleasure to end the session. Who knows? Okay, so today you and Thomas are to explore the streets of the Castle District. You delve deep into the district, right to the old siege walls of Anisot. The city needs these walls no longer. There are no more enemies left for the Empire to fight, since the twins descended and chose to the Tempest dynasty to rule the Empire. It has spread one sea to sea, bringing its rule and peace for many generations. The two of you gaze in awe at the old charcoal black marks on the former fortress walls. They say magic wielders during Char Milanidas' rebellion could conjure gusts of fire with their own hands, and who are we to deny that given what we saw at school? The rebellious Duke fought against the Emperor and the Church of the Twin Gods in the days of yore, but nothing remains of his rebellion now, save for scorched ruins and parched land throughout Magra. You and your friend study the old walls and daydream about the battles that took place here during the rebellion. But then you hear a muffled voice coming from somewhere below the ground. You would look around and find a hole in the brickwork where the sounds are coming from. Naturally, you take a peek. You see a half-ruined hall built below the ground and a handful of young men and women standing there in the dark. They look a little bit older than you and are wearing plain shirts and dresses. A young man is standing on a piece of crumbled wall reciting some of his poetry. It tells the story of a nobleman who fell into a puddle thanks to his gaudy cloak, and none of his noble bearings was of any help. He ends with a farcical bow. You hear applause and laughter. Oh, like a little comedy den, a little kind of theatrical area. A little cult of theatrics. Oh! He gets down from the crumbled wall and a young girl takes his place. You cannot see her face in the darkness, but hers is a voice you could recognise anywhere. It is Gloria. Your sister begins to recite a poem she has written. Nay, Gloria, yours is no proper life. You are to be a mother and a wife. Accept the kitchen apron for a gag, and lo, another voice now takes a crack. You're straying from your lot, you've got some nerve. Eyes down, and be obedient and serve. Your husband, children, house, they are your absolute. Nay, Gloria, you are but rotten fruit. You lean down to hear her better, but sand and stones fall from under your feet and into the underground hall. Gloria looks up and meets your gaze. Thomas pulls you away from the hole. So they're reading poems? Imagine that. They sure hate nobles, and even Gloria. I never thought your sister could do that. But they're sure going to get in trouble if they get spotted by an adult. Bad-mouthing a noble will get you flogged into next week. Not to mention all the trouble you can get into for writing poems if you're a commoner. You better tell your sister to lay off. You better stay away from them too. You nod. Being around these people puts Gloria in great danger. But you know your sister. It will not be easy to tell her this. Your adventure into the castle district is done for tonight. You and your friend return home. During dinner, Gloria will not look at you. Her hair is all dishevelled. Is she afraid, or is she ashamed? You are also worried sick. These literary gatherings may spell danger for your sister, but for an illegitimate child like her, there are so few ways to forge her own path. Dinner is over. Soon you and Gloria are alone at the table. What are you going to tell her? Now, obviously, keep her secret means that she can go on doing it and she gets to forge her own path, but it puts her at great risk. For our own safety, we almost feel like we should ask her to leave the society, but when we see her, we know how much she loves her poetry. We're really, really fond of her, and we kind of like, you know, oh, all right then. We're kind of internally thinking, right, well, fine, we'll, oh. But just be very, very careful. What if she ends up dying because of this? And we had a chance to stop it. Oh no. There's probably a negative to both of these options at some point. We're going to keep a secret. We love her very much. You know, she's a commoner. We know how much she loves her poetry. This is her only way to get, you know, to do it and to get it out there and to enjoy herself a little bit. You know, we can't take it away from her. I should have checked the top option, actually, what it did, to be honest. Gloria finally looks at you. You wink at your sister and promise to keep her secret. You praise the poetry you were able to overhear and confess that you were impressed. A big, joyous smile appears on her face. Oh, I'm so happy, brother. I thought you were about to tell me to stop going there and say what mother says about my lot. But I'm glad you're not like that. Me and my friends, without our poetry, we don't have anything else left. Nothing but our abysmal daily lives. At least we can laugh about it this way. You get serious and tell her that her friends need to work much harder to hide their meetings. After all, this secret passion could end badly for them if they get caught. The best way out of this is to meet in a new place every time. You list off several abandoned places nearby where nobody will look for them. You promise her that if she ever comes close to danger, you will be there to protect her. Gloria nods and plants a kiss of sisterly joy on your cheek. Oh. We can't. Oh, we're now enterprising. Yes, an enterprising one. Hey! We've discovered the secret society. But we have allowed her to remain conducting her poetry. The fugitive girl. Okay, so I'm assuming that if we end the session right here, that we still get to come back to this exact bit, or do we have to actually go to a physical, like, end of? Because this is like almost like a seamless transition to the next part of this chapter. Will we be back at this exact point if we end it here? Do we know? Tinkling music. Right, okay. As I said, I've done enough reading now. So don't forget, I've also played this on Monday as well. So, yes, I shall now have to go and have a cup of hot chocolate or something. But there we go. So we've got a couple more we've got a couple more steps of our adolescence cycle to go, and then that will be the end of the adolescent chapter. Hopefully we can get there without any further deaths. But yes, we died again. You know, it was almost obvious it was going to happen, really, but we couldn't help ourselves, being the chivalrous one that we are. But we've got 2 lives left, and ultimately, I've been quite happy with our decisions today. I feel quite satisfied with our decision making, and how our Benedict is turning out. I quite like him. So hopefully that's a sign that we're doing all right. Who knows? But anyway, thank you for watching. I can't see football being cancelled on Wednesday or Thursday, but you never know. If not, the next stream will be on Sunday, and it will be. I'm going to switch the days around, and I'll do CK2 on Sunday and this on next Monday, just to switch it around a bit. And over the next couple of days, I'm going to get a couple of F1 races up, because we've had a bit of a break from F1 recently, so I'll get a couple of races back to back up on that, and maybe a recording of CK2 on Friday or something. But yes, enjoy the rest of your evenings, folks. If you celebrate Pancake Day, you've still got another, in the UK at least, another hour and 10 minutes to consume some. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your weeks too, and hopefully see you next time. If not for some CK2, then for some more of our escapades as one Benedict Brante. So until next time, folks, have a good one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.